Just can't wait for the Harbor Freight parking lot sale to roll around. And it'll be here this weekend. Maybe you're looking to fill out that tool chest. Maybe you're looking for a tool chest to fill up. You'll save money either way. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until August 18th, 2024. While supplies last. Limitations apply.
O'Reilly.
Don't miss out on summer brake deals at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get 15% off a set of Brake Best Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors. Restore quality braking and improve stopping performance with parts and advice from the professional parts people. Save money now when you visit O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
As the end of summer draws near, the vacation season is just starting for customers at Greenberg's Jewelers. For a very limited time, when you make a purchase of $3,000 or more at Greenberg's, you'll get a $500 airline gift card to one of over 100 destinations in the U.S. and Mexico. Spend $7,500 or more and receive a $1,000 airline gift card. If you're thinking about an engagement ring in the next few months, it's time to buy the ring now. Considering a gorgeous diamond pendant or anniversary ring? Get it now from Greenberg's and get free airfare. Imagine the look on her face when a Hearts on Fire engagement ring or love story pendant is topped off with a honeymoon or vacation to Cancun, New York, Las Vegas, or one of many other destinations. A $500 airline gift card with any purchase of $3,000 or more, or a $1,000 airline gift card with a purchase of $7,500 or more. But hurry, a deal like this won't last. Greenberg's Jewelers, a cut above the rest. West Roads Mall.
Come out to Werner Park for a one-of-a-kind collectible on Saturday, August 17th. We're giving away John Ray bobbleheads to commemorate his viral catch that made the SportsCenter Top 10 last season. It even has a bobble wrist to help capture the amazing play. This bobblehead is a one-of-a-kind item for a one-of-a-kind catch. Grab your tickets at OmahaStormChasers.com. That's OmahaStormChasers.com.
Omaha Storm Chasers family. Everyone get on your feet, stir up the storm, we're family.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
1620 The Zone.
The pitch. Swing and a blast. Deep left center field. Way back. And that ball will be into the Royals bullpen for a home run. Bobby Witt Jr., a home run, his 24th. And the Royals double their lead. It's 2-0. 3-2. Swing and a high fly ball. Deep left center. And that ball is long gone. A home run for Paul DeYoung. And the Royals add to their lead. It's 3-1. Boy, he pulverized that ball.
The 2-1 pitch. Swung on, line drive, right field. That gets down for a base hit. Naylor will round third. He's heading for home. The throw is cut off. Naylor scores standing up. It's an RBI single for Andres Jimenez. And the Guardians take a 2-1 lead. Swung and drilled toward the gap, deep left center field. It'll get down. It'll bounce up against the wall. That'll score Ramirez and Thomas. And Jimenez with a 2-run double up the alley in left center.
3-2 again. And that's lined into center field for a base hit. Leone scores. Myers gets the stop sign at third. Mauricio Dubon with an RBI single in the Astros lead. 2-1 in the 10th.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
Hey, also last night we had a little bit of history in Major League Baseball as Aaron Judge hit his 300th home run. Fastest to 300.
Step aside, Ralph Kiner.
Give me your background on Ralph Kiner. What was your thoughts about Ralph Kiner and his Major League career?
We need more than 4 hours, Gary, to talk about Ralph Kiner. I don't really have much background on Ralph Kiner, but I could tell you about Juan Gon. I remember when Juan Gon being in the top 5 of the youngest guys to ever reach 300 career home runs.
Not bad. 300. He kind of perfected his swing at the Home Run Derby in Omaha when he's playing for Fresno State.
Sure.
But 300 home runs and 955 at-bats. I think he would be on pace to possibly hit 600. Kind of interesting that there's baseball right now has, you could say Ohtani, but Judge is the number one player playing in the number one market, which is kind of sometimes rare. You don't usually get that. Like the number one player in football is not in like the large, he's not playing for the Jets or the Giants or the $10 billion Dallas Cowboys.
Who's he playing
Kansas
for?
City's over 2 million people. It's a big city.
Still, hey,
you
small
wanted to
market.
sneak that in there, didn't you?
Small market. You know, I mean, people in Kansas City, that's a small market. They are grinding every day. It's blue collar people that are just glad to wake up every day and listen to some Teddy Swims and be able to go about their day.
I've heard of this guy.
It's a bigger
Heard about this guy.
At first, I thought it had something to do with Adult Swim.
No, it does not. But those are becoming more popular because you have more freedom at the Adult Swim areas, especially like in Vegas.
I thought you were talking about the TV station.
That's what I'm talking
Adult
about.
Swim.
There's a TV
Hunger
station.
Force.
Yeah, there used to be Adult Swim. It
what goes on the Adult Swim channel?
Yeah, Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yeah.
There was usually a little bit more of the PG-13 to R-rated commercials, cartoons.
Cartoons for the adults and the
what?
Where
substance using community.
So like
I don't know.
Like
did South Park?
Anime is swimming with
something like that. Yes, there were some shows like that.
It was just called Adult Swim.
South Park was just Comedy Central.
Yeah, I figured they were exclusive to Comedy Central.
They crawled so the others could walk.
Yeah, it would be very similar to your South Park type of cartoons and programming on Adult Swim. But you're right about Adult Swims too. We're looking at not this year for Reese's birthday, but the following year, because you got to do this like a year in advance of the Timberwolf Lodge. They have like an Adult Swim up bar.
That's the way to do it.
It is.
Over there at Funplex.
They have
an adult area. Very, very popular. You see so many relieved people that are at the Adult Swim.
Mm-hmm.
But it's you can drop the kids off at their regular swimming and then have the adults, swim at their place where you can drink a little bit.
Yeah.
You can probably get into a little bit more trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You're very carefree.
Yep.
But that is not related to Teddy Swims.
Teddy Swims, who also has tats on his face.
Him too?
Yeah, it's a thing now.
Well, I mean, it's
it's
thing
more
of
acceptable,
expression,
right?
Yes. So I hopped in the car today on this Thursday morning.
Nice morning, by
and
the way.
the first thing I heard was Teddy Swims. Now, for people that don't know, Teddy Swims is starting to get into the mainstream. More people are becoming aware of him. More like Sweet 98.5 stations are playing him.
Yeah.
So a lot of his songs that are out there are getting more run. I mean, he writes and he sings and he touches, your inner workings. And I was like, man, I'm going to roll down the windows today because I got some Teddy Swims. Now, Teddy Swims is coming to Stir Cove.
Oh, really?
Next month.
Okay.
The all ages venue.
I would love to go see him, but just like people in fall weddings and scheduling, he's scheduled for a Thursday night, and I am preoccupied on a Thursday night.
You have a high school football game, I bet.
I know.
I hope it's a humdinger at least.
I'm
trying.
I think it actually is North and Central.
Oh, I thought maybe a TJAL rivalry.
No,
they're usually Friday anyway. That's not a Thursday.
Yeah, that's back on the schedule. That's week 4, I think.
All right.
Yeah. So, you guys have not listened to Teddy Swim?
I've just heard of him, which is a big thing.
You don't want to get into your feelings.
What's the "You're Still the One" or whatever? I think that's the only one I've ever heard.
Still the one.
You're Still the One. Yeah, that's the only one I've heard. Yeah, it's called "You're Still the One." I don't really heard it a few times. I don't celebrate the man's entire catalog yet.
So the song that is being played that I listened to this morning was "The Door," which is like his latest thing.
No.
Related to the chair.
Sure, I've heard it and didn't even realize it was Teddy Swims.
I mean, just grab yourself some R&B and soul on a Thursday. All right, they call it blue-eyed soul.
Blue-eyed soul.
Okay, I could get behind this.
I'm trying to
look at.
He has blend. So he's like a lot of the new artists, especially like my friend Posty.
Yeah.
Who are starting to blend genres. So Teddy Swims is like R&B.
Oh, I see.
And then you throw in a little soul. He's got a little country. He's got a little pop. So I think you have to do that now so you can get played on all the stations.
Yeah.
Well, he's blending related looks to
too.
Jelly Roll.
Yeah, he's blending looks. He's got a little Jelly Roll, a little Post in him. I'd even say maybe a little Conor McGregor in him.
Okay.
You could put all three of those in and they would come out with Teddy Swims.
mean, he does look like he might be related to Post Malone.
Yes.
He just,
His
he's
brother
got the
Carl.
beard. No.
Not that Carl.
No. I think these guys are allowed to be around children.
If you know, you know.
But Lose Control, I would listen to that. So this is like a
I've
Teddy
heard of that.
Swims day. I mean, I was like, here we go. The Pride of Atlanta, Georgia is on my radio. The windows are down. It's Thursday. 2 weeks from today, we're going to be talking about Colorado, North Dakota State football.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Am I doing the math right? 4 weeks from today 3 weeks from today is the NFL. Yeah.
Yep.
3 weeks from today is the Ravens and the Chiefs.
Yep.
It is almost here. So if you'd like somebody to get into your soul and make you feel good, and I don't know that Teddy warmed my cockles.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm getting my cockles warmed at 6 a.m. at this age.
What about some Cat Stevens?
No. Okay. No.
Wow.
Oh, Peace Train?
No.
No?
No, man.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm like new school. I'm not
Okay,
old school.
That's fine, but you can go old school every now and then, and it warms the cockles.
I've adjusted. As I've gotten older, I'm
You're staying
I'm
on top
adjusting
of
with
it?
the times. I'm not old school anymore. I'm not here telling you about the 90s. All right, I want to tell you about the 20s. Okay, the 2020s.
Why do we want to talk about that?
Well, because
So much more
there's
fun
a
talking about
vibe.
the
There's a
90s.
vibe, brother. There's a vibe
The
going
90s were fun, though.
on. Were they?
Oh, yeah. It was a great
Oh.
decade.
Amazing.
Outside of a football team that you may have followed, were the 90s a banger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Music was great.
Mm-hmm. Ages 7 to
Started
16.
getting into a little grunge music on top of some. I mean, think about a time when one-hit wonders thrived.
The
One-hit
80s?
wonders were never the same after the 90s. Never. People started actually doing stuff, like actually creating other albums that were popular.
I might
I went
be
to
on
many
you.
NBA games in the 90s.
I
saw
might be
all
on
the
you. I
greats.
think the 90s might have been a banger.
They were.
The fashion, Apex jackets.
Was your body count better in the 90s or in the 2000s?
Ooh. Well, I graduated in 97, so probably in the 90s.
Dude, they start at 12 now. I mean, I don't know what you're waiting for.
At my middle school, they did.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. It is a Thursday. It is the 15th of August. We are ready to do some radio, so grab yourself some Teddy Swims. If you have not listened to it, it'll change your life, man. It just gets right in your soul.
You realize you introduced me to Jelly Roll. I had no idea who Jelly Roll was.
Dude.
That was like a year ago.
He's an A-plus person. There's video of him. He was over at the Iowa State Fair.
Mm-hmm.
How come we can't get even like hairball Jelly Roll at the Nebraska State Fair? Why
figured
does
that's kinda
Iowa?
what you're-
Hey,
Harry Roll?
Why does Iowa?
Yes.
Iowa gets all the great acts. Motley Crue was there last night. But what
Yeah.
do we have? We have
This is
like
Jam Roll.
we have like Clint Black at the Nebraska State Fair.
We get spicy
Okay.
tuna roll.
I would take hairball Jelly Roll.
Clint Black, I can get down with some better, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Back
now.
in the 80s.
When I was 7.
Okay.
No, one of the better sneaky good concerts I ever saw was at the Nebraska State Fair.
What was it? Rick Springfield?
Well, it was Steve Miller Band.
Oh,
And they were still doing it, man.
Yeah. But Jelly Roll, I saw a video because he interacted with somebody that had
Let's
lost
see
a
here.
loved one that wanted to be there, and they were in the
Oh.
front row. And I mean, he's an A-plus dude.
Yeah, he comes across as a
damn, you're
very
going to
good
get
dude.
me all the feels.
Oh, dude. Last time he was in Omaha, he's played in Omaha a couple of times.
Mhm.
He went to the Douglas County Correction Center and talked to the inmates because he used to be one of them.
Mhm.
Not in Omaha, but that's his story.
Then we could claim him.
But why can't we get like better acts at the Nebraska State Fair?
All right.
Grand Island has an airport. Grand Island is off of Interstate 80.
Oh, wait, that's 23. Damn it. Did you know who we had last year?
No.
I forgot.
Would you like to know?
No, wait a minute.
There's one
I do-
who's actually decent.
Now, I do know because
Actually, two.
I do
Two.
know because somebody that used to work here tried to convince
That could be
me
a long list.
to draw. Wow.
Not wrong.
It happens. Waiver wire is active. They were going out there. There was a very popular Latino group.
It must have been Iglesias.
That this person tried to convince me. They go, "Hey man, you'll love it," and I was like,
Well, I'm sure it wasn't Gabrielle Fluffy. Toby Mack.
Hard Knocks is on. What?
Toby Mack was there. Bush.
Bush, yes.
Lee Bryce.
Shout out 8th grade.
Parking lot party, buddy. Come on.
Okay. So,
And the Oak Ridge Boys.
I remember now.
Yeah. Now this
Hey,
year.
what, they couldn't get Alabama?
No, 10 years.
Oh, Song of the South.
Shout out Randy Owens.
Song of the South.
Oh, Dixieland Delight.
That's what I introduced my wife to the Alabama version. Changed her life.
Or Reckless. Or Cheap Seats. They're all good. First CD I ever owned was the Alabama Cheap Seats.
You are about to get a lot of rage because people don't like Cheap Seats being played at baseball games.
Oh yeah.
Why? Because of the Marlboro Man?
Just because it's overplayed.
Yeah, it is very much so.
But Jimmy's right. So have you heard the Dixieland Delight that have his Alabama spin on it?
No, I have not.
Spend my dollar
I've not
on beer. Parked in a holler. Neath the mountain moonlight. Roll Tide. Hold her up again tight.
Oh, that's right.
Against the wall. Make a little lovin' all night.
I forgot about that.
A little turtle dovin' on a Mason-Dixon night. Beat Auburn. Fits my life. And LSU. Oh, so right. And Tennessee, too. My Dixieland Delight.
And on a night game,
oh,
just hits.
It'll do more than warm your cockles. I mean, your elephant trunk for Roll Tide will be.
You'll be buying a Babar this
I need help on
Amazon.
this one, guys.
Oh, where do we start?
All right. So
do you have a fence?
Casting Crowns with special guest Ann Wilson.
I know her.
The Gatlin brothers
it's
and
Luke's,
Lori Morgan.
It's Luke's sister.
It might be.
Did
she have the
did
nose
you say
too?
the Gatlin brothers?
The Gatlin brothers and Lori
For
Morgan.
God's sake.
Lori Morgan, she dated Troy Aikman once.
I could buy that.
Yeah, she did. So she's of
Has
the.
he dated so many country stars? I mean, there's Carrie Underwood.
I don't remember. That was Tony Romo.
Oh, that's right.
No, we're talking about when the Cowboys were winners.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was
Do
Tony
not
Romo.
confuse your
That's
Dallas Cowboy quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I went there. Little River Band. Riley Green.
Reminiscing.
Now Riley Green is hot.
Okay.
Now and twofold there. Like he has a lot of women. Like he's a good looking dude.
Yeah, he's rocking a good stash.
And he opened up in London for Morgan Wallen.
Okay. I can see that. But that's your axe right there. Little River Band, Riley Green, the Gatlin brothers with Lori Morgan, and Casting Crowns with special guest Ann Wilson.
Ruin Steve says, having spent Sunday at the Iowa State Fair, it's impressive. Overall, the entire experience is better than the Nebraska State Fair. You might like that. That is absolutely true.
Who is Young Gravy?
Oh, the rapper.
Old Gravy.
Yeah,
son.
we're getting Young Gravy as well with Taylor Holder. Young Gravy, Turnpike Troubadours.
I've heard of them.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, they were in Lincoln.
And Los Hurricanes del Norte.
The North Hurricane.
Los Hurricanes
So
del Norte.
that must be Boca.
This is your lineup for the Nebraska State Fair.
We may have, you guys have heard Young Gravy.
I've heard of him.
I don't believe
Betty,
I have.
Get Money.
Oh, that's Young Gravy.
Young Gravy.
Oh, that's Young Gravy.
Okay. John Gravy.
So Young,
he was a little more mature than that.
So Young Gravy. Some might say, I don't say this because I don't usually use this word. It's so whack.
I used it just yesterday, by the way.
Oh God.
Yeah, I felt weird doing it, but I just let it fly.
In what
role
would?
Yeah, I do want the
word
context.
Whack.
It had a negative connotation.
Were you singing Crisscross? Were you singing
No.
John?
Now, whack is a good thing. Like if Dave Revson says Dylan Riley is whack,
That's
people
good.
be like,
Oh, it is?
Whoa.
Oh, see, I used it as that was all screwed up.
I smell what you're cooking now.
I meant to say it was, I meant to say it was out of whack. I just said whack. I was talking about, I can't remember what the hell I was talking about. I was talking to.
I do that often.
I do it a lot too. I was talking to my wife about, I think it was,
Did you say wackadoodle?
It was the lawnmower. The lawnmower is doing some weird things. And I just said, the thing is just whack right now.
Okay. I think that applies.
Yeah.
So Young Gravy, it's more comedy music. He's not really funny or clever. He's not really conventionally good. I'm not
What
giving
do you say next? He's not really talented.
Yeah. Well, because he does.
Fastball's about 84
So here's the
tops.
thing. Some people will say that he's a really good rapper.
Okay.
I don't think he puts a lot of effort into his songs.
Okay.
But when he went through a phase last summer where Get Money was his popular one. I'm sure that we have it in the system because a station in the building, Power played it a lot because it was a very catchy like summer theme.
Is it appropriate? Can we just let one go?
Well, if it's in the system, it will be.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Let's see. Mr. Sandman, Bring Me a Dream is one of the lines in it.
Oh.
But one quick thing on the
Big Halloween fan.
The Iowa State Fair. So Hairball anything is like really, really popular now.
Yeah.
You know, like Hairball when they do it at the Ralston Arena.
Oh, yeah.
The Friends of NRG Media.
Sells out.
It's huge. Last night, I was tipped off by a friend who went to the Iowa State Fair and went to Motley Crue.
Mm-hmm.
So real Motley Crue was playing, and outside, Hairball Motley Crue was playing.
At the same time?
Yes.
Whoa.
Now, I'm remember, I went to I took a leak next to Vince Neil.
I did to A-Rod.
Many have.
Yeah.
I have to A-Rod. Yours is cooler.
I didn't look down. I didn't know what to say.
I know stories.
But I ended up with a picture of Vince and then his girlfriend.
Okay, when you said you took a leak next to Vince Neil, then you followed up with, I have a picture. I'm glad you specified.
It was at the House of Blues. It was when Nebraska played Miami in the Rose Bowl. We went to the House of Blues.
I saw A-Rod when Nebraska played Miami.
Okay.
So next to him.
Yeah.
There it is. It's called Betty. Get money.
You know, it was just Vince and myself.
Yeah.
And we were washing hands, and I thought, you know what? I've had a couple of hockey pops in me.
Good.
Why not?
Yeah.
Next thing I know, you've heard this song.
Oh, this is him?
This is Young Gravy.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so this is okay.
I remember this.
All right, it's Young Gravy. All right.
There will be so many people coming from Shelton to the Nebraska State Fair to see Young Gravy. But then, I talked to Vince Neil, and we ended up getting a picture.
I've been there.
Getting a picture. Like I was on one side.
How did his girlfriend look?
Well, we were kind of edged out of the picture by her.
Okay.
And then I was on the other side.
It's everything I would expect it to be.
Yeah. But he was a nice guy.
Good dude.
I mean, my only interaction was in the bathroom. And you could tell a lot. You can really tell a lot about people, about how they act in the bathroom. Like we have somebody in this building who does a morning show at the same time we do.
Yeah.
He is so awkward in the bathroom whenever you see him. Like really, not like creepy.
I thought you were talking about that guy. You're talking about that guy.
You guys choose whoever you want.
I know you're talking. Yeah.
But he's
not participating. I know it's not
like
me.
he doesn't know what to say to you when you see him in the bathroom.
Because this guy is extremely friendly.
Yeah.
And like, hey, how we doing?
Yeah, he like hovers.
This guy is like, oh, hey.
Making a tinkle. All right.
This guy can't get away from you in the bathroom soon enough.
Yes, it's very true.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm immunized. What do you got?
There have been a few times that guy I've I've been going into the bathroom, you could tell he was done because he's in front of the mirror, and give him credit, he's a better looking dude than all of us.
Oh, yeah.
He was giving himself a good look and messing with the hair, making sure it was top notch for the radio.
Yeah, I do believe that. I think that is true. That is one of the things in life. You can tell a lot about an individual about their interaction in the bathroom. If they have solid interaction, not creepy, but they can hold a conversation in the bathroom, I think there's somebody you want to be friends with.
This is good pre-football season.
A-Rod said hi at the hand washing area.
Glad I was there.
I'm not a guy that's gonna. I don't do the whoa.
Too bad.
Don't remember drinking all of that. I'm not the guy who makes small talk in the urinal. And I sure as heck wasn't going to do that with A-Rod. But as I let him wash his hands first, because we're in the little press box bathroom there, and then he went back into his suite. As he got done going to the paper towel area, I went in and he just goes, hi. So he gave me like a polite hi.
I'm Alex.
Too bad J-Lo said bye.
All
right. Welcome in, everybody. We are off and running.
No more whiskey today. It was
Sort of.
delicious.
Ed says Young Gravy is one of the top 100 artists.
Top 100? Like ever?
What are we doing here? Have we already started off? That's
some poll.
This
top
is
100.
I need Baghdad Bob to come in here and correct that one. The lineup brought to you by the rooferys at John Higgins. You guys ever wonder? You ever wake up in the morning and go, what happened to that guy?
Baghdad Bob?
Yeah.
No, not.
You think he's
not
still
in a long
alive?
time. Yes.
Okay.
Is that someone that was here?
Let me see.
The lineup brought to you by the rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. SBH, Sarah Baker Hansen back on the show. Coming up at 8. Steve Sipple stops by at 8:30. And then there's a little sling blade in there.
It was. The mashed
Like some French
taters.
fried potatoes.
Mashed taters.
I killed him.
Yes, the boy.
Sip joins us at 8:30. Brian Edwards stops by at 9:45. So
still live, by the way.
Brian?
No,
Baghdad Bob?
Yeah,
Does he have a Wikipedia page?
He does. He's 84.
All right. So that's the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. A little bit of confusion last night on when the Big Ten Network stop in Lincoln was going to air.
Yep. It was kind of like Hard Knocks.
It aired at 7. It's airing all day. I mean, if we turn that TV right there onto BTN, I'm sure it's going to be on. But it did not, if you were like looking on your guide, it did not have Nebraska listed.
Yeah, just
but they were on at 7 o'clock last night. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It was Revson and Howard.
Mm-hmm.
I got thoughts. But what I would like to see them do, because not everybody, like I really would have liked to have Yogi Roth and Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you on Yogi.
Hey, buy stock in him on the Big Ten Network.
Mhm.
That is a great addition. But I would have liked to have him in Lincoln because I would have listened a little bit closer to his observations. If you followed him on his stops, and he's based out in Los Angeles, so he has done the West Coast part.
Watching his USC.
But I really like him. What I would love for them to do, because not everybody's making the trip. So, Howard Griffith is not making the trip. DiNardo was not here this time. I would like them to do like a hour roundtable, or maybe even stretch it to 2. I'd like to have them do a roundtable in Chicago on the Big Ten Network live, and they kind of recap what they saw. So they can all share ideas, and they can also do it after they've been to every stop. Like they've gone through all 18 teams. It's right before the season. They sit down and they just kind of recap and talk about, and they compare. Like, the comment that's getting a lot of run is Nebraska's quarterback room.
Yep.
I would love when they're done with the tour for everybody to sit down and they kind of talk about that kind of stuff. I think that would be really good programming on the Big Ten Network. But regardless of what you think about their opinions, or if, they say the same thing about everywhere they stop, it's content. You got to see some video. And most importantly, you got player and coach and coordinator interviews. So you got a little bit of insight, maybe some new things that you didn't already think or know.
Yeah, and you got to see the latest vest that Marcus Satterfield would be rocking as well. Also, see, to me, last night, Nebraska on the Big Ten Network with the bus tour was not the biggest BTN Nebraska link. It was newly added Ross Dellinger to the Big Ten Network. Speaking, as they were talking about quarterbacks in the Big Ten, he led off with Dylan Raiola too.
All right.
So there's that.
If you don't, you're doing it wrong. It's the first time in 20 plus years Nebraska's quarterback is the front door to the program.
Mm-hmm. And I was curious about this when it came to how Marcus Satterfield, how Matt Rule would answer the question. Dave Revson asked it to Matt Rule. Howard Griffin and Dave Revson brought it up with Marcus Satterfield. Satterfield did a little bit more on Dylan Raiola, but then in typical fashion went back to the group itself, the iron sharpens iron whole thing. So I was curious if they would lean more into, he's our guy. Again, not expecting him to say on that actual segment of, by the way, our starting quarterback is Dylan Raiola. But I was curious if they were heading more to, you asked me about Dylan Raiola, I'm going to answer it about Dylan Raiola, and that is it. Because going all the way back to spring, then to fall, everything in between has been, Dylan does this well. The group itself, though, does this, and then, he's being pushed by the group. That was obviously still the theme yesterday with both Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield.
Yeah, that's great. Dylan Raiola is their quarterback.
Yep.
You'd have to be Helen Keller not to realize that.
Yes.
But he is the front door to the program. If Nebraska had gone 8-, let's say they got a bowl game. Let's say they lose a bowl game. So they're 8-5 last year. And the same quarterback is returning this year. But yet they went to a bowl game and won 8 games in Rule's first year. Compare what the vibe would be like to now, where you went 5-7, quarterback was an issue. You added a 5-star to run your quarterback room, compare that to the vibe. I think the vibe off a 5-7 season with the addition of Dylan Raiola is much greater if Nebraska in year one of Rule would have gone 8-5, have everybody returning, great defense, quarterback that was competent.
Yeah.
I think the vibe is different. He is the front door to the Nebraska football program. When people show up from the outside in Lincoln, because this is a team that, as of right now, doesn't have any superstars. They have some talented players and some guys that are going to surprise and flash that you were not prepared for, but they don't have any bona fide. Bruce Feldman is saying this is a preseason All-American. They have good football players. They need to find more great football players, recruiting or during the course of the year. But they have a guy that could be the first superstar off this team that when you show up in Lincoln, that's the guy you want to see. That's the guy you want to talk about. Hadn't been that way in a while with an individual.
No, it hasn't. Probably. And think about when Ndamukong Suh's stock was at its highest. Well, he ended up getting drafted next year. So
you made a good point.
So
When we were talking about that is, he had a good junior year.
Yeah.
His year before his big year.
But he wasn't being talked about that way.
He wasn't.
So you go into that final season. If he had another year, if he stuck around for another year, had another year of eligibility or whatever the case might have been, he would have been the guy. Then that would have had that type of impact. And it's funny because that would be based on a dominant season of college football. This is, I hate saying this is based on dominant hype because it makes it sound like, well, there's nothing to this. But this is dominant hype of a high school player who's got a lot of talent. And so the intrigue is the same as if you did have a guy that already had a standout season and it's like, wow, I want to see this guy in person. I want to sit down and talk with him. But this is obviously where it's different is you don't have the game experience, but it is also going all the way back to spring. Everybody, that's what they refer to a lot of the national guys is look at the spring he had. I was listening to Ross Dellinger yesterday talking about him too. First thing he brought up was the spring game, talking about the different throws that he made, talking about the folks that he's talking to in the program, getting further into, well, it's not just, he kind of looks like Patrick Mahomes. He's got really good arm talent, but now you're getting more into okay, he's been around long enough to see how he communicates. That was a big thing talked about on the BTN thing as well. But I was listening to Dellinger talk about this. I'm always curious how the national media who views Nebraska, and it's almost to your point of the first thing they will bring up. And it's one of two things. It's usually 15 or it's if they can just get over the turnovers. Those are the two things that are talked about the most by the national pundits. So I think where people are coming to see him when it comes from the national pundits is, okay, I want to see how integrated he is as a true freshman. I want to see how much he fits in. Does he look the part? Does the team respond to him? And I think that's where a lot of people have been actually a little bit taken back in a good way of, damn, looks like the guy's been there a lot longer. That's what I've gathered from people from the outside that have gone and watched him is he's a true freshman, hasn't played a college football game yet, but the way he goes about his business isn't anything like that.
Absolutely. All right. You got the lineup for the show. If you'd like to get into the discussion about anything or give some love to Teddy Swims, I bet that'll be a big show.
Or Young Gravy. I feel like Young Gravy got a little bit of run here.
Has me thinking about Thanksgiving.
That's a good point.
Do like gravy.
Went somewhere yesterday for lunch. On the menu, Sunday gravy.
I could get behind this.
Would you like to?
I just saw this not that long ago. Where the heck were you? Because I bet you I can name that. I saw that as well. The hell was it? Sunday gravy. Okay,
good band name.
You got to tell me.
So I didn't know, but I was like looking at the menu, and with the meatball sandwich they had. And covered in Sunday gravy, and I was like, because I'm not a gravy person.
No,
but Sunday gravy basically is that meaty red sauce.
Yeah.
God,
where the heck were we going? This was over the weekend. We were looking at a menu, and I kept seeing Sunday gravy, and I wasn't really 100% sure what it was.
Yeah, so it's not your typical. It's
like Sopranos gravy,
like
Sunday gravy.
Yeah, okay. Big Sunday dinner.
See, I always think of gravy you're going to put on either the mashed potatoes
So in this case, you're putting Sunday gravy like on
Or biscuits and gravy.
Italian sausage, sausage and peppers. Not hey, I'd like a biscuit with some Sunday gravy. That would be a little bit of an odd combination.
Yeah, a little bit.
You'd be like, how hungover are you? You can join us on the 42 Degree The Source hotline, 402-951-1620. Or you can email us into the Equitable Bank inbox, where they take banking personally, professionally, and everything else that goes into banking.
Courteously.
Go ahead. You know
Nicely.
what? It's never too soon to open up your Christmas account at Equitable Bank. They will take care of you right now. And you know what? If you call them, they're going to answer
On the first ring.
and say, you know what? I would like for my grandkids to open up a Christmas account. They'll do that for you. I think they're the only one in town that do it. Gary at 1620thezone.com.
Handley at 1620thezone.com.
Also on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Oh, boy, there's going to be an interesting day on that thing. At Gary Sharp 1620.
At Nick Handley 1620.
Flaky Jake says Young Gravy greater than Elvis.
Okay.
I asked him, could he cite a source, and he said Casey Kasem.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How's that possible?
The next song
That's
is
a
a
good
song
point.
about love.
That's a good point, because I don't want to be harsh here to the Kasem family.
Yeah.
Since Young Gravy came on the scene, Casey hasn't been on the scene.
Yeah, we're no longer on the countdown.
Yeah.
Wait till I tell him about Dick Clark.
Is Rick Dees still with us?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll check.
Rick Dees and John Tesh will never die.
That's kind of what I was thinking, yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
Rick Dees, who was an incredible DJ in L.A., I think passed away a while ago.
Did he? Okay.
No.
He's
No.
still with us?
I think so. 74, living in
yeah.
Duval.
Yep, he is. He's still with us.
Okay. All right.
And you know what? He's aged very well.
Oh, no.
Aged
This one
very
says he
well.
resides in Toluca Lake, a suburb of LA. That makes more sense.
Okay.
But yeah, he's
Rick
there.
Dees.
Yeah. Looks great.
He was
One of
he
the
was
great
a
voices.
big time LA DJ.
Rick Dees. That was awful. Sorry, Rick.
All right, 42 past the hour. More on the stop in Lincoln Plus.
He's on Instagram.
We are back with college football. Just 2 weeks away from the start of the season. Actually, a little over a week for some of those that get the opportunity to play on week 0 and get to go to Dublin, Ireland. But we are back because a discussion that was like one of the last things that we haven't talked about in the college football world got active yesterday. We will discuss that when we come back. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy at 1620 The Zone. So it has come to a point, sometimes when the best of the best at what they do just keep delivering, and they protect us and they make us happy, but they never want anything in return. But then when the best of the best all of a sudden have one loss and it leads to another, and then they're on a losing streak, and you're like, it might be time to retire. No, but thank you for ending my baseball season in Cleveland. I appreciate that.
That's fine. August 14th. That's fine. In 2016, you ended my hopes and dreams. So I'd still take the 2016 success that you guys had.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I sure would.
You would rather have
71-49
or a World Series title? Poll question?
Yeah, I think it goes without saying.
So we got hammered by storms again last night.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving in it.
Oh.
I apologize to anybody that was on 80.
Some of those were bad, too.
I think you know what? Actually, pretty cool. First time I've ever done it, driving on the interstate here. I like to call it a freeway. I'm immediately corrected. We call them interstates in Nebraska, boy.
Same.
Well, you get confused if you say driving on the freeway in Nebraska, because then you think about...
We have freeways here.
But you're just
Why
thinking
can't we say we have freeways? We got 680, we got 480, we got 80 that goes through Omaha.
Yeah,
we have freeways.
They are
We're
by
a town of
definition
1 million
freeways.
people, all right? Embrace being good. That's my theme. Embrace being good. Don't fight it, be good.
As opposed to what part of the interstate are you talking about?
Well, so last night it was pouring rain, and I mean, it's like a frog strangler.
Yeah.
I'm like, gosh, do I just pull off?
Like the beginning of the
But
program.
I wanted to get home. And, it was almost 10 o'clock. I think I accomplished something. I think I got to drive in every single lane, like just kind of floating.
Yeah.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of cars around.
You and I did that day it snowed. When we came in here,
Yeah.
we made our own lanes.
That was not fun.
But we got hit hard again in this town last night.
A lot of lightning last night.
Yeah.
There was a lot of lightning. Thunder and the lightning.
Oh, God, no.
They made a career off of that song, and it had 2 words in it.
Thunder. Thunder.
Imagine Dragons still out and touring.
I'm sure they are.
They'll be at the State Fair in 20 years.
Now they had one of the college football songs. You're a natural. That one. You remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
They actually are really good in concert. They
are awesome in concert.
They played during a College World Series rain delay that we snuck in the back of CHI to watch them.
I was at that one. Yes. Yeah. I've been to 2 of their shows, and they're actually pretty good in person.
So the storm yesterday, this is kind of a sad day for weather weenies, because it's come to the reality. The Omadome needs to be retired.
It can come back for winter.
No. The Omadome has too many flaws. It has failed us in many years, or many times this year.
It's like the Metrodome roof.
I just think I think we're gonna have to retire it. I think it's gonna have to. It's gonna have to go out to pasture. Maybe we find something else. But the Omadome has really failed us in 2024. And I want you to know, if you're listening, that we've done nothing to you. Okay, we've embraced you, we've loved you, we've prayed for you,
we've worshipped you,
but you have let us down in Omaha this year with all of the poor weather that we have had. Okay,
well, it's fought so many battles for us, though.
We've sacrificed in its honor
at some point.
But I can understand one. Okay, you have a little hiccup. Somebody isn't right on coverage, and somebody scores a touchdown.
You have a bad game.
But you know what? The next week, that's a lockdown corner. Problem is, we got some leaky stuff. It may be time. There's some great franchises out there, like the Steelers. The Steelers know when a veteran is at the end, and so they get rid of him. It may be time to trade Omadome.
So what you're saying is the Omadome has now turned into the 2017 Nebraska defense. You said very leaky.
Or Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
Anytime we can reference Bob Diaco, was a good day on the show.
Yes. I mean, the strain is spectacular on the Omadome.
We have reached peak off-season for college football, and it's almost here. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, because I saw yesterday on Twitter that the discourse over fall weddings reached its peak. Because one of the greatest days of the 2024 college football season, ironically, coincides with the Nebraska bye week, October 12th. Mm-hmm. It's banger after banger.
Yep.
You're going to get up in the morning. You're going to watch game day. You're going to watch the big nude show.
I like those
at
days.
11 all the way to the night. There are great games after great games, and Nebraska's on a bye week.
Yes.
Okay. So
you can enjoy it fully.
So no, it's actually, Nebraska football has delivered a crap sandwich to us. They're actually like, here you go. This is this for hanging in there with us. We're going to allow people to get married and watch their football when they don't have to worry about us on October 12th. But it became the discussion, which is very popular, and some think it's weird. I've been called a weirdo before.
Me too.
I've been called a weirdo because somebody that doesn't get college football can't understand why I would drink beer watching two schools that I did not attend. And I don't even attempt to explain it. I was called a weirdo.
Why is that weird?
Sounds like a hell of a good time to me.
I said, I'm more normal than you.
Yeah.
And she promptly left. She didn't get, why
now
would,
it all makes sense.
It was for the best.
She didn't understand, why would I drink beer and watch
sports?
Two teams that I did not attend their school and get so excited about it? And I'm like, lady, I get excited about I don't get excited about a lot of things these days, but that's one thing that I get excited about. But people are, we are, the real ones out there find a way to balance a fall wedding and a college football Saturday. I'm just telling you. The real ones, you find a way.
Mm-hmm.
You go and get a portable charger. You go and get an iPad. You go to a wedding that will have a television or two, or are perfectly fine with while the ceremony is going on, you're in the back pew streaming a game that you want to watch.
That was me.
For God's sake, I went to a bar mitzvah in a synagogue here in Omaha.
Yeah.
I sat in the back. I don't think they call them pews. I don't think it was I was in general admission.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
there you go.
I was not like
you were on the berm.
I was not like in the luxury
You weren't in
suites of the
box.
synagogue.
You wouldn't have box seats.
And I was watching when Nebraska clinched the Big Ten at Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only time I paused is when they brought around the Stanley Cup or whatever that thing is called.
Wait, there's a Stanley Cup?
Yeah, they bring around, it looks like the Stanley Cup.
I'm in.
I don't know what it is called, but yes, all these things that you are describing.
Was I so out of my element at that? It was a great ceremony, and that same kid.
And he became a man that
same
day.
kid, we are moving to off-campus housing this afternoon in Lincoln.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, geez. We're moving from Phi Psi to a bougie place.
Yeah.
Across from Barry's.
Oh.
But yeah, so they brought the
rooftop.
I called it the Stanley Cup. The rabbi didn't get my vibe. But
did you call it that?
Well, I was
say, I haven't seen the Stanley Cup yet.
I was like, it looked like the Stanley Cup. He looked through my soul.
Does Gary Bettman know you had
But
it?
you know what you did by going to the bar mitzvah on a college football Saturday? Or was it we're talking about college football, right?
It was in the spring.
Oh, in the spring.
Yeah,
okay.
it was the Nebraska-Penn State game, 17 maybe?
Oh, yeah, I was on that call.
Okay, I was watching.
All right.
I was watching it on my phone.
Yeah, okay.
In the general admissions section of the synagogue.
By showing up that day and watching Nebraska baseball on a very dank day in State College, by the way.
Aren't they all?
Win. It's right, because it was in Pennsylvania. You know what you did by going to that bar mitzvah? You did yourself a mitzvah, which is a good deed.
Really?
Yeah. Did you know mitzvah means good deed?
I did not.
Yeah.
But looking at all the gifts that he got, I'm like, man, I could have been Jewish. I could have used a little bump when I was 13. But here's my question. Again, the real ones find a way to attend a wedding in the fall. I'm not here to tell you about the part of marriage, okay? I was essentially Moonlight Graham with marriage, except I had an at-bat. I would have been better off if I would have been like Moonlight Graham, and I would have just played in the field for an inning instead of getting an at-bat, okay, because I'm 0 for 1.
Damn, Luke Collins ruined his life.
So I'm not here to tell you about marriage advice or anything like that, but the real ones, you find a way. I'm not going to get upset about people scheduling fall weddings, even though you probably should look at the not.com that has the only weekends that you can get married in this country are the last 2 weeks in April and the first week in August to avoid any sports, confrontation. But why don't people get married on Monday?
Oh, I bet you get a hell of a deal too. I like where you're.
So you do on Sunday. I know that for sure.
Now I got married on a Friday because we saved a little money.
Yep, I know. I've heard of Fridays, but I also know Sundays are damn near half off of what you would get at most venues.
Okay.
Monday.
Do
they even operate on Mondays?
You got to back
That's
up.
what I want to know. Do they even operate
this
on a
guy
Monday?
was ordained by the Church of the Dancing Hat.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's like if you're not going to do it on a Sunday, man, we're definitely not doing it on a Monday.
If you have a lot of people that are in the sports industry or are sports fans, and you say we're getting married on a Monday, look at the less conflicts, unless you're going to get married on the day of the national championship game.
Yeah, true. I don't think they're even open on Mondays.
Has anybody ever
take Mondays off?
Has anybody ever been married outside of Elvis marrying you in Vegas on a Monday?
Monday afternoon at 2:00.
I don't.
There you
even,
go. 2:30.
All right.
Split the difference.
TC just sent an email. I just want to make sure he did not. Okay, no, never mind. I've never heard of anybody getting married on a Monday. I've heard the Friday and the Sunday.
I can't say that.
Never. I want to say maybe even a Thursday. I've on a
Thursday night wedding.
Yeah, I think it was a destination thing. I wasn't there, but I remember friends getting. I think they got married in Jamaica.
Football on Thursday.
Well, then, I mean, once you get into November, you got MAC games on Tuesday, so your window's shrinking.
Yeah, so Tuesday and Wednesday's out.
I don't know if you knew this about me. I did get married on a Husker football Saturday.
Well, your wife is not from here.
No, she's not.
So I get that.
And wife had something to do with it as far as...
Did you ever think about skipping your own wedding?
No, because it was the Northwestern game, and we'd already made that trip.
Okay, so...
And you know how that game usually
Okay,
plays
so
out.
at least...
it was 2016, Nebraska
Your
won.
wife didn't like choose the Ohio State or Wisconsin or Iowa weekend.
So we looked at... We were going after the bye week. From the engagement, which was in February of 2016, we got married in September of 2016. We just wanted to, we didn't want a long engagement.
Hold on here. Whoa, February to September.
Yeah.
How old's Reese?
He's almost 4. No, don't worry.
Okay.
We took a couple years. It wasn't a shotgun. Trust me.
Not that I was wrong. Not there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's
not at all.
But yeah, of course, right away we looked at the bye week. That was unavailable. I wasn't Catholic at the time. She was, but we were going to get married in a Catholic church, just not do a Catholic ceremony.
You can do that?
Yeah, they're pretty brisk. I would say maybe 20, 25 minutes.
Oh, wow. That's
Tops.
nothing of what I grew up going to.
Yeah. You didn't do communion or anything?
We had an intermission.
Cost you a lot of money, though.
It's called a donation, Gary. They don't cost money. They don't send you a bill. They say, and of course,
much like all the
we
money I
always
donated to the
appreciate
University
a
of
donation.
Kansas.
Now, if you have to get an organist or who we have the very talented vocal talent of one Brandy Peterson, of course, she did not charge us.
I did hear your wedding was fantastic. It was really, really nice.
Oh, we had some stories that happened after the reception. You can ask Schmitty and Mark Kranek about.
Many
I think
weddings
they
do.
basically had a hangover night, so that was fun. But the next thing was, all right, if we can't do it on a bye week, I got to look at certain games that will draw a little interest, or where people most likely, if it's a road game, because you don't want to do it on a home game for sure. If it's a road game, which ones are going to be more lower priority? Everybody had done the Northwestern one.
Yeah.
So
That's usually at 11 o'clock.
And it turned out to be a night game. Of
course it did.
I'm like,
that would be my luck.
but you're absolutely right, Jimmy. I thought that's got 11 a.m. written all over it. Ceremony's not till 2.
This is a Beth Mowins
People
game.
can see the game. And then when they announced that, like 2 weeks before, I'm like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. So, but yes.
Are they
we
getting
did that.
game day for this?
And my wife had just started a new job. She had horrible benefits. Not that mine were better, but she wanted to get on my benefits right away. Otherwise, we were going to do a spring
okay,
wedding.
So that makes sense.
So there was that. But then
you were married to a very smart woman.
the Handleys are really awful, though, about this, because my next oldest brother, who that marriage only lasted a year, got married on the Nebraska Notre Dame game in South Bend.
Oh
Yeah.
wow! No wonder that thing ended.
Yeah. There was very little attention being
His
paid to the
marriage
bride
ended
and groom.
like the football career of Carlisle Holiday.
Oh, I remember getting yelled at.
Shout
by,
out San Antonio Brackenridge.
I was getting yelled at by my parents because we were getting ready to start things, and I'm watching you remember the conclusion of that game. I'm watching the end of that game, and I refused to, no, they can wait. We got something happening right now.
You didn't see the blonde-haired sideline reporter interviewing Eric Crouch?
Golden locks.
No, I did see the Notre Dame students spit on Eric Crouch when he scored to win the game.
That's not very holy.
There was a collective.
I can't believe that picture still exists. That was a low point in my life.
Of your blonde hair?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the spitting.
It was just the sun, right? It wasn't sun.
Yeah, it was a different time. Gas was 89 cents a gallon.
You spent a lot of time out in the sun, man. I get it.
Was a day game.
Those are times I was desperate and would do anything for love.
So I guess my whole point, though, is if you have to do it on a game day, think of all of those little things. Game time. It's never probably that acceptable, especially here. But you have to do it. Road game. It may never be an exact science. Try to guess kickoff time. All those things.
Look at you and I. That's a night game. You would.
Yeah.
Why don't people get married at a tailgate?
There you go.
Solve a lot of things.
I feel like that's probably happened before.
I would think so.
Yeah. I bet proposals have happened at tailgates.
Why not have it in the stands? So the knot says that Saturday, October 12th is one of the 5 most popular wedding days.
People that don't
in
want to watch
2024. It also will be. Love the folks at Valas. They're a longtime partner of this radio station.
Mm-hmm.
They better load up on staff because the pumpkin patches, all of those places are going to be overrun around here on the 12th of October because Nebraska doesn't play. But if you'd like to stay at home or stream on your phone, Ohio State at Oregon, Texas at Oklahoma, Ole Miss LSU, Penn State USC.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just 4 games on the 12th of October. A couple of things here. We got a lot of people that are married in our audience.
Hey, congratulations, everybody.
TL3 says, I went to a Tuesday wedding. Ooh, I like this. On 2/22/22 at 2/22. I didn't RSVP, so I went as a mutual friends +1. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I remember the fun little dates.
Have an outdoor wedding that day.
Jim says, not necessarily with the theme of this discussion. I've been to a funeral, and they had the Husker game on.
Hey, that's nice.
Because he would have wanted it, or she would have wanted it that way, right?
That's how my family would do it.
That's pretty good. You know, when you have a celebration of life, and they're like, I imagine the funeral he went to that the Husker game was on was back in the good days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like it wasn't in 2017.
No.
And then the minister made like a crack of like, you know what? If Nebraska was better, Bob wouldn't be right there.
Let us pray.
Obviously, what Bob Diaco said about the strain was quite literal, too.
He's predicting 2020.
Shocker. Iowa JD got married in Vegas at the Candlelight Wedding Chapel at 4 on a Thursday. Cost him $500 with a cake to go.
Damn, that's a great deal.
Cake to go.
Limo driver was a 5-tool player, and he was also a photographer and organist. I wanted the midget Elvis, but my wife said that was tacky.
It was a 5-tool player? Whoa.
You could have had a midget Elvis?
He could have not had the Hawkeye Elvises at his wedding.
Yeah. That would cost more.
Kyle said, ooh, I bet this is a very popular wedding date in January. I got married the weekend between the AFC-NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That is a smart choice. Sean, he goes, I got married on October 15th, 2005.
That was a great day. I remember it. I'm not kidding.
October 15th, 2005.
Was
that Nebraska? Arrowhead that
Nebraska was playing at Baylor. It was also the same game, the same day as the Bush Push.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting how we remember
dates based on what does Nebraska? Because I think of 05, I think of that was when Kansas.
This is my secret.
That was when Kansas first beat Nebraska.
That was 3 weeks later.
In 05.
That night they played Oklahoma.
Broke the streak. That's why I was thinking, wait, was that the same time? But yeah, that was the streak broken. It was 60-something years, right? 68 years?
37.
I thought it was like 60-something
No, that's
years.
the amount of points Nebraska averaged most years against them. You know this. You've been there.
So the real ones are special day in our life, whether it be a child is born or you get married. If you are a sports fan, you probably remember something in the sports world that went on. Sean, thank you. The day I got married,
I'm going to love this,
was a Carlos Zambrano meltdown in a game that the Cubs were playing.
This wasn't the infamous day he went crazy on the Gatorade cooler.
Yeah, this is the punching of the Gatorade.
That is the day against the Atlanta Braves.
That is awesome.
That is pretty cool.
So I remember that.
We did ours around the Spurs playoff schedule, including our honeymoon. Then they blew a 2-0 lead to the Thunder.
I've always wanted to.
You did what?
They blew a 2-0 lead to the Thunder. Oh, I didn't do anything.
Do you know my?
I ate because that was the advice I was given.
You're right about the whole wedding day. So I always remember wedding days or now son's birth because I always remember the Northwestern Nebraska game that Nebraska won, but also that was an alternate uniform. That was the white out chromed look, and I always remember that too because I remember at the reception.
Tommy Armstrong made your day.
Yes, he did. But also, I've wanted to have this conversation with Matt Rule that he has a very special place in the birth of our son because I know there's context here. So on Friday is when Reese was born. He was born on a Friday. We had to stay in NICU because if he was born on a Monday, it would have been just your normal discharge. But he was like 2 days before the 35-week period, so he had to stay as a precautionary measure. Yeah, we got to extend our stay there. So he and I, Reese and I, he watched his first Chicago Bears game. They were playing none other than the Carolina Panthers, and Matt Rule was coaching that Carolina Panther team.
Did the Bears win?
And the Bears won. So Matt Rule was a part of Reese's first ever football viewing experience. And little did I know that we would be talking about this guy on a daily basis.
Who listens to
in
our
the
show.
coming years.
So you can, when you take Reese to Fan Day and he gets in the line to get Rule's autograph, you can explain that story.
I should.
And then Rule will give the point.
Yes.
I'll give the point to him because I'll be like, I put Matt Rule greater than who the Bears coach was at that time, who now is on the sidelines in Kansas City.
This is why I love college football. This has been churning, and yesterday was the day that we got it out of our system before the season started about fall weddings and how you all doing it wrong. But the real ones, you will find a way. John, you need to be real more than this. He says, I was going to go to Brookings and watch South Dakota State and Youngstown State on October 12th with a buddy that lives there and has season tickets. I had not looked at other games that day. I may have to reconsider.
Yep.
Brandon,
There are plenty
unironically, I was at Vala's when the Bush Push happened. It was a gorgeous day in this part of the country, though. It was 70 in Kansas City. I bet it was perfect here.
Yeah, I'm trying to, as far as the overall weather, I don't. You know what? If it was really bad, I would have remembered that. That's
usually when
that's the only way I remember.
I just go on
fall
sports.
weather is
or weather revolving sports like the time it snowed on Thanksgiving in Dallas.
Or the October ice storm in 97. Right. I believe Nebraska Kansas played.
Yeah.
Game 6 of the World Series. It took a while to get back from Lawrence.
Yep.
Yeah. For those of us that did not get to, everybody had a bus home.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because they couldn't, because Nebraska,
you weren't flying.
this ticked off a lot of people. So when Nebraska played in Lawrence, they always bus to Kansas State. But when they played in Lawrence, we always bussed down and then flew home.
Interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the bus then would go to Topeka and would get on the charter and you'd fly home.
30 minutes tops?
Yeah.
Talk about it. We were talking about some short flights yesterday. That would be a good one.
They just didn't want to bus, they're like, we'll bus to Manhattan because we can make it from Lincoln to Manhattan in 2 hours. And that was always a bus, which was, the small towns that you go through when you're driving from Lincoln to Manhattan, and you've got like 6 buses.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder if that's the Huskers.
Nebraska would bus to Lawrence on a Friday, and then right after the game, the bus would go to Topeka to get on the charter, and then you fly home.
Shout out Forbes Field.
Hey, when that became public, the watchdogs in the state went nuts.
I'm sure.
Yeah. All right, Jimmy's got an update coming up a little bit after the break. Sarah Baker Hansen will stop by. Steve Sipple as well as the Big Ten Network crew were in Lincoln yesterday. Now we're 2 weeks away from the main portion of college football when we will all sit down to watch Colorado and North Dakota State.
Got my Bison shirt on.
By the way, a great follow. I heard him on USC a couple of weeks ago, Kenny Ford. He's got analytics and what ifs and scenarios. He's got Colorado playing in 10 one-possession games this year.
Ooh.
If you're wondering, he's got Nebraska playing in 8 of the 12 games on the schedule are going to be one-possession games.
10 of 12, so they won't on September 7th and November 23rd. Got it. All right.
Get out the heart medication.
Jimmy's got an update coming up next. 7-Eleven. Get yourself a Slurpee on 1620 The Zone.
Suffice to say, they are better off. Yes. They probably wasted a lot of time.
In the third quarter. Anyway, all right, we'll actually get a little more serious here for good reason. Great guy and friend of the show, Tom Crable, resigns as Boys Town basketball coach after 22 stellar seasons, citing business ventures to run and a health issue that needs attention before it becomes serious. Best wishes to him for sure. He always comes on during the winter. His record with the Cowboys was 327-209, including 12-12 last season. He coached Isaiah Gandy and Teddy Allen, all Nebraska first-team selections, third-team pick Vince Marshall. John McClain, who has been on Crable's staff for 3 years, will follow him as coach. McClain, not that John McClain, had a 121-53 record in girls basketball at Chadron with 3 state tournament appearances before leaving for Boys Town. This John McClain was the 2008 second-team All-Nebraska quarterback at Chadron, who went on to a record-setting career at Chadron State.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Yes, speaking of Mr. Falcon, lots of them. Lots of Mr. Falcons have landed the pass rusher they've sought for years. The Patriots are trading top edge rusher Matthew Judon to the Falcons. He's good for a third-round draft pick. He's been practicing after a brief absence from the team. The Falcons and Judon have not hammered out a contract for next season yet, but they'll work it out before the season. Turns 32 tomorrow. Happy birthday to him. He is a 4-time Pro Bowler who had a career-high 15.5 sacks in 2022, including a 12.5 sack season in 2021. He missed most of last year with a torn bicep. Then again, most of the Patriots missed most of last year as well. The Falcons have not had a double-digit sack leader since Vic Beasley in 2016. There's that year again, which corresponds to their last Super Bowl appearance.
Can I say this real quickly
You
about the
can say
Matthew
anything.
Judon addition to the Atlanta Falcons, that this was the most Ryan Pace thing ever? And as anybody remembers Ryan Pace, GM of the Chicago Bears, not that this is opening old wounds, but it is for a moment. Now it's Atlanta's problem. He was the guy that was notorious for negotiating against himself. From what I understand, and yes, I'm not bitter because Chicago apparently was offering a 6th rounder because of the injury. The fact that the guy did tear his lower bicep was shelved for the remainder of the season, that you are going all in on a 3rd round traded there. That was very, very Ryan Pace. I wish Judon nothing but the best, but for Atlanta, and as you mentioned, they will work out that deal later. Ryan Pace will overpay the crap out of Matthew Judon.
I can't judge anybody.
It's
any
good to see
organization
certain
anymore.
things haven't changed.
It doesn't matter how inept your team is. I can't judge anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry. Whatever. The Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl again this year.
I just like seeing Ryan Pace do Ryan Pace things.
The Storm Chasers beat Louisville last night, 5-4. They'll play again tonight. College football. Tyler Van Dyke named Wisconsin starting quarterback. Miami transfer. There's a different climate. Had been competing with Braden Locke, who started 3 games last season in place of Tanner Mordecai. Offensive coordinator Phil Longo announced after the practice that Van Dyke had won the job. They opened their season by hosting Western Michigan on a Friday night game 2 weeks from tomorrow. The Badgers, who went 7-6 last year in their first season under Luke Fickell, are outside the top 25 for the first time since 2016. I'm not making this up. Something is going on today. Maybe your Cubs aren't out of it yet. Something weird is going on today. Anyway, he was the ACC Rookie of the Year in 2021, struggled with injuries and consistency during his next 2 seasons in Miami, but I can guarantee you he had a hell of a time. Most do there. I did once. And J.J. McCarthy, we talked about him yesterday's season, officially over before it began. That's too bad. The Vikings rookie quarterback will be sidelined until next season after undergoing the surgery to repair that torn meniscus in his right leg. The news ruptured the increasing optimism around his on-field progress and left the team with veteran Sam Darnold, who signed a 1-year contract of $10 million in March. It's likely the starter. The other quarterbacks are holdovers Nick Mullen and Jaron Hall. Sean Salisbury not walking through that door, and neither is former San Antonio legend Tommy Kramer. We'll have Shafe on tomorrow to do a recap on the Vikings.
Actually,
season.
no, Mike is going to be off for the week.
He knew.
Back, yeah.
He knew. Finally, already thinking about a family-friendly summer vacation next year. The White Sox are lowering season ticket prices by an average of 10%. That's it. They ought to give the damn things away for the team struggling through one of the worst.
What they should do is they should pay people to come to the games.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're 29-93. They lost last night 10-2 to the Yankees, and they're still on course for the second worst winning percentage of the modern era. They were 61-101 last year. It's worst finish since going 56-106 in 1970. So if you can't get tickets to Wrigley and would like to go to Chicago, you can do some charity work and make a donation to go watch some suffering baseball.
I just came to this is my reaction to the Cubs being swept by the Guardians, and especially last night, is I think my Roomba had more energy and spirit than my baseball team last night.
Well, isn't your Roomba possessed? Didn't it turn on that one time?
I conceded after Chicago.
Roomba and I are not in a good relationship right now because it's taunting me. It will stop before it rolls itself back onto the charger. It like stops right in front of it.
Oh, really?
I'm like, really? Is this what we're doing, my kid?
So then you have to help it onto the charging dock?
Yes. But it stops right in front.
Yeah.
It doesn't like just go another inch. All right. I don't need to be standing there hovering over the Roomba giving an Al Pacino speech. Okay?
The 12 inches.
I need the Roomba to hop on the dock. But it's taunting me. But last night, it felt like it had like more energy and spirit than the Cubs.
I just conceded that once the Cubs went up 1-0, that they were going to get one game out of this 3-game set.
Was it Kevin Seitzer that blew the ball on the foul line?
Well, their offense, other than the first game, their offense was pretty awful. But
yes,
I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but I was somewhat surprised because usually Cleveland in the games that they haven't fared very well is usually a little offensively challenged. It was just kind of a breath of fresh air to see other teams struggling with that.
Oh, now you sound like me. They're having a bad day. Good.
Yeah.
Hope they have more.
And they made Will Brennan look good too. So thank you for that. Will Brennan had a good series. Obviously,
anything I can do for you guys.
Obviously, Big Christmas had a good series, but even Will Brennan, who
which one's Big Christmas?
Jokenzie Noel.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, okay. He had 3 home runs in that series, 2
Makes
in one
sense.
game. And Kansas City beat Minnesota, so I needed Minnesota just to fall back a little bit. So everything went well yesterday.
All right, great talks, guys. Do you think the Vikings are cursed?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, there's some people that don't believe in curses. Then the Red Sox win in 2004.
See Anderson, Gary.
Boy, did they have a run yesterday where it was one bad thing after another. They lose for the first time ever. A first-round quarterback will not participate in his first season.
Yep.
Addison gets carted off.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Darnold didn't look great. And I'm thinking, man,
Sam Darnold.
Those Viking fans are cursed.
At least Shafe has the Guardians.
But I think he's more passionate about the Vikings.
He is.
I know.
He is.
I'm trying.
And 2 of my very good friends that are both Viking fans. Now, one happens to be a Twins fan, the other being Mike Schaefer's a Cleveland fan. Same thing. But he's also seen a Twins World Series title and has not seen
still alive.
anything with Minnesota other than heartbreak. I mean, yeah, you mentioned Gary Anderson, who had not missed a field
Pat
goal.
Summerall said it right before it happened.
Oh, my God. And then the Blair Walsh one, too. Not that team was going to go to a Super Bowl, per se, but
they should have won 100-0 when Bud Grant walks out in short sleeve.
Yeah, on a day that it was like -20. This is why I can never put that much vitriol towards Minnesota as much as Green Bay, because Minnesota shares my pain.
Life has done
and
it
at least I have seen in my lifetime a Super Bowl title, and I've seen the Bears actually in a Super Bowl. Vikings have had some teams that were good enough to be in them, and some of the most random things happen. And then you're right. Now you look at this year, where I don't think anybody was delusional enough to think that Minnesota was going to even really be a playoff team. But all of a sudden, you think about the importance of a rookie season for J.J. McCarthy, even if he's not starting. Now he misses out on all of that too. It's
they've had a rough offseason.
Well, yeah, and with
Minnesota.
with the shooting too. Like, I mean, that's just a lot of it's like real tragedy too, on top of just awful luck that this organization
I think
has.
it guarantees that J.J. McCarthy will be quarterback 1 from day 1 for the 2025 season.
Oh yeah,
that they will. You are the guy. There is no lead in. I know you're going to miss the entire year, but you are the guy in 2025. May have saved the head coach and GM's job, maybe because you lost your quarterback, and they're under a little bit of pressure. All right, when we come back, something weird happened in Lincoln yesterday. Something really, really weird that does not happen in Lincoln yesterday. That was mentioned by somebody. It's not supposed to happen in Lincoln. It's not. It's very odd. It's very odd to have this comment and to have this feeling in Lincoln. We will discuss that. A couple of more people that are happily married that'd like to share their stories.
Yeah.
This is kind of like people are sharing the pictures of their kids on the first day of school. people on the show today are sharing their
Weddings.
memories of their wedding day that revolves around sports.
What a contrast from yesterday.
Eric tweets that my wife and I are both college football fans. Had the wedding on a Wednesday in May.
Whoa!
Didn't have to worry about spring ball. You were probably past the portal season. I know the portal season didn't begin then.
Before the Big Ten baseball tournament?
Eric, nicely done.
I wish we could give Eric something.
I just want to know what type of venue and what they paid on a Wednesday.
Stu Manji. So I'm reading it off my phone, and so it doesn't give me his at.
Yeah.
It's Stu Manji.
But still.
Wow.
People are like, Eric, they didn't know Stu Manji had a name. Sure. But also, to be fair to Stu Manji, he is a diehard Viking fan. He says, and yes, the Vikings are beyond cursed. You would think you can't feel pain anymore, but here we are, still finding a way.
Yeah. Because there's always the hope that brings you back. I mean, we all have different variations of it with our teams. I mean, you lived that life for a very long time with the Chicago Cubs. You're living that life right now with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm living that life right now with both Cleveland and Chicago as far as that elusive title. You never know. Things break your way. So it keeps you coming back at the very least.
At least my basketball and baseball
because
teams have won
you
stuff.
think about all of that like what didn't you do a show the day after the World Series? Probably already maybe still drunk?
Oh yeah, you didn't sleep.
Yeah,
you know what you said?
I smelled like cigars, alcohol, and I didn't sleep.
I have that candle.
That's what makes once you finally get it, as long as you live to see it, makes it that much more amazing.
All right. Well, we'll dive into something that was said yesterday when the Big Ten Network stopped by Lincoln that has not been said since Nebraska's been in the Big Ten. That to come next. Sarah Baker Hansen coming up in about 30 minutes. Steve Sipple in an hour. And Brian Edwards to make us some money 2 weeks from Colorado, North Dakota State. Giddy up. It's 1620 The Zone. Hey, you can giddy up with FanDuel this upcoming football season. Football is right around the corner. That's what we've been talking about. It's a great time to get in on all the action, and especially early on in the season with FanDuel, because there are plenty of options with FanDuel when it comes to the NFL, because you can look at future bets, different player props, passing yards, touchdown rushing, great team markets. You're looking at who's going to make the playoffs. All of those things, Nick, make it a great experience with FanDuel.
That's right. And right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So there's no better place to get ready for the football season than on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sports betting partner of the NFL. Visit FanDuel.com. Use the promo code ZONE. That's FanDuel.com/zone to sign up today. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
No, not the case. Not the case. Welcome back in. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. 1620 The Zone. Jimmy is here as well. Sarah Baker Hansen is going to join the party in about 27 minutes to be exact. Put it on the stopwatch. And hello to everybody on 1620 The Zone TV. Peace. And everybody else that is listening, wherever you may consume the show. Jason texts the program. Said, I got married the day before COVID shut down. On the day Bellevue West won the 2020 championship by going on a 16-0 run to beat Millard North. Now, I must add that at the time, Jason was an assistant at Bellevue West. So he just added that they went on the 16-0 run to beat Millard North. Watch the game while speeches were happening. That's
so
Jason and his family, by the way, great people. Very much a basketball guy. Big Red.
I guess they didn't at that time have any restrictions in place yet. Because remember, it was the Wednesday into Thursday when pretty much the entire world just went upside down. So by that weekend, you probably are still not having social gathering protocols or anything. So that was probably one of the last, at the time, legal social gatherings in our area.
It was the OG super spreader.
Yes. Yeah. It might have been the original super spreader, where at one point we would do the community tracing of the one case that would exist and find out that they went to Walmart, then they went to a Creighton game. And then at that point, like, okay, we're not doing this anymore because there's too many people.
By the way, excited to see Coach Cannon. So Coach Cannon, after a brief retirement, is going to be the head coach, or going to be. He is the head coach of Council Bluffs St. Albert. I'm excited to watch Coach Cannon. I think that's a great fit for him. He looks great. His health is fantastic. I don't know if you've seen Coach Cannon in a while.
I have not seen him in a while. In fact,
he looks great. And so he's back in the game, and he's coaching over in Council Bluffs.
He will always be, because this goes all the way back when I was playing, he was always the Omaha Bryan coach.
Yes.
Before then, it was, then he went to Millard North. So, it's always crazy to those names, and when they go from one school to the other, like, how the hell did that happen?
Also, hey, welcome back to his hometown. Jerry Godowski has returned to Nebraska.
Oh.
So Jerry hadn't been in the college game after being an OC at Vanderbilt, had been in the private sector. The Godowskis are back in Fremont, or he's working in Fremont because he is in the Midland University Athletic Department.
Oh.
And his son is playing basketball at Midland, is transferring. So one of the very underrated Nebraska quarterbacks has come back to the state of Nebraska. So we're looking to reconnect with him.
I loved me some Jerry Godowski growing up. That was one of the guys that, watching him chuck the football a little bit too.
For a guy that had to replace Steve Taylor, and that was not easy.
Yep.
Man, Jerry was the ultimate guy. Which leads me into something that was said yesterday by the Howard Griffith. Again, I don't think they ever go into a place and go, got to tell you, when they're wrapping up the show, got to tell you, Dave, they're not very good.
Doesn't look good.
Not
very promising.
But they are they're a little bit more measured, and not everybody is making the trip. So that's why I want them to have a post wrap-up.
Agreed.
But Howard Griffith said something to Marcus Satterfield yesterday. He said, and this has got to be a first in the history of the BTN bus tour in the fall, Nebraska has one of the best quarterback rooms they've seen on their camp stops. Let's just, for a moment here, before you drive off Dodge and into the sign at 50th and Capitol,
might make it work.
I know that it's odd to have a legitimate quarterback one and to have a good quarterback room. But an observation from an outsider tells the OC at Nebraska that unit is one of the best quarterback rooms they've seen on their camp stops. Now, I think Howard was at Ohio State, which Ohio State's quarterback room is above and beyond. But for him to say that, like, okay, we know QB1. We have our thoughts about post-grad Jalen. We know what Harburg has done. We know what Kalen has to do.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of interesting that he made that observation and was willing publicly to share it with the OC.
Yeah, and he not only said to Marcus Satterfield, but in their wrap-up as well, he went back to it. I had that down on some of my observations as well from their little bus tour. Was I had to consider who they've seen now. You're right. It's important to see who Howard has been on site with, because the bus tour itself, they started in Minnesota. It's Minnesota, Illinois, Washington, Oregon, Maryland, Penn State, Rutgers, Ohio State, Indiana, Purdue, UCLA, USC, then Nebraska. Then they'll probably see one of the best quarterback rooms that they've ever seen today in Iowa City. I say that tongue in cheek. That I was also taken back by that a little bit. Now, then realizing, okay, who's Howard seen in that entire list? I know he wasn't there for the USC one. Yogi Ferrell was there for that one. Jared Denardo was there for that one. UCLA, he wasn't there for that one either. But again, even amongst a handful, like that is significant when you say that about Ohio State, that if you can put that group, which is pretty much dominated by inexperience, but talent. And that's the thing is you can't judge how effective that room is from a standpoint of how they're going to perform in games other than the small sample size you had from Heinrich Harburg in a guy's NAIA career. Everything else is based on what you're watching in practice, how they're functioning within the system, and being able to make an assessment. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm not saying Howard's assessment is way off. I think it's actually significant to be able to look at those quarterbacks, starting with Dylan, but also he mentioned Danny Kaelin more than once too. And then I think the Harburg narrative they've already known about. And then he mentioned there at the end that we've all been wondering is they didn't show anything yesterday, but Howard said he would be hard pressed to find a reason that Heinrich Harburg would not be involved in certain packages as well.
Well, I wonder, was he comparing it to the last times he's been in Lincoln and looked at the quarterback position group? Because, I mean, if you're talking about four guys, one guy has played college football.
Mm-hmm.
One guy has played college football, and we know how that went prior to the change in his position group.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, why would he say that? I think if you've seen the quarterbacks, they all kind of look the same. So the one thing I've heard out of fall camp is when it comes to the passing game, there aren't a lot of balls that just are off the mark and just land on the ground that nobody's around.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a pass is high or a pass is behind, but it's being deflected. It's not like just being, thrown onto Stadium Way,
right.
like all over the map. But the quarterback room, I think there's a couple of things, and one of the best in the Big Ten. Again, I would like to know what he's comparing it to.
Mm-hmm.
And also if he has a bias of what he's seen in the quarterback room the last couple of times they've been here.
Yeah.
Because the quarterback room at Nebraska has all looked like a bunch of misfit guys. And I don't say that negative. I say there's different skill set.
Right.
I think if you watch the quarterbacks this year and even just warming up, they look like quarterbacks. Okay, the mechanics are better. They throw the ball. The wide receivers also help them.
You've got a quarterback coach that is a dedicated, I think, highly regarded quarterback coach.
But you
too.
also, I think it's important as Nebraska puts more emphasis on that position to be an actual quarterback, not an athlete playing quarterback, is you give it up to the high school program that Dylan came from in Arizona and then in Buford, Georgia, where they are used to coaching high school quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They just don't coach offense. They coach quarterbacks. And so he was in a quarterback friendly offense in high school. So he was not only all the other things that go with him, but he was prepared in the game of football at the high school level to be successful. Same thing, Bellevue West.
Yeah.
Bellevue West is an ideal program to play in if you like playing quarterback. Now, the head coach and his system is going to challenge you, but if you're able to master the system, there are weapons around you, and it will help your game. I mean, look at, and Will Anderson is the next up at Bellevue West in this class, or this season and beyond, is whether they've gone to Nebraska or elsewhere, it seems like every guy that starts, Nate Glantz, that starts at Bellevue West ends up playing at the next level. So I think we have to give credit to a couple of high school programs that the two true freshmen that walk in the door are prepared to at least not be swimming in it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing about the quarterback room that I'm waiting to see is, and I'm going to tie this into the rest of that offense, is I think Nebraska's gotten to a point, and it's taken a while, not just 1 year with Rule, is they have position rooms that complement each other, like guys that help each other. We always talk about complementary football.
Yeah.
I think Nebraska has position groups of players inside those position groups that complement each other. And then I think the next step with that offense is they have offensive position groups that complement each other. Like the running backs are going to help out the quarterbacks, vice versa. Quarterback's going to help out the offensive line, vice versa. Wide receivers are definitely going to help out the quarterback. Quarterback's going to help out the wide receivers. How many times have we gone through of late where it's so disjointed?
Yeah.
Like the left hand isn't helping the right hand.
Right.
The left hand is doing all the work.
Yeah.
And that's at least a step in the right direction. We'll see about the quarterback room, because if you're going to tell me about the quarterback room, it's got to be more than the guy that is going to be QB1. Does QB2 look like somebody that if Raiola loses his helmet and somebody can't find it and he's out for a series, can the next guy come in and at least move the team?
Yeah, and so you said something that I think is an interesting point about them looking the same. I think, and what you just brought up about the offense too, I would use maybe the best word that comes to mind is a little bit more connected than what we've seen in previous years of that complementary style. But I think about the future of that quarterback room right now, and you can throw in TJ Lateef to this as well as far as incoming, that obviously Jalen Gramstead is not the future. Obviously Hunter Carberg is not the future of that quarterback room. So if you look at just the future of that quarterback room, you brought up the point about a lot of guys just looking different, because you almost kind of had it. It was almost like an island of misfit toys. I mean, think about observers going to a practice like Big Ten Network and seeing a Jeff Sims or a Logan Smothers or a Purdy, and watching how they probably function in a brand new offense completely different. And you can go back to previous quarterback rooms and like, okay, there's your guy who can run. There's your guy who can throw it a little bit. There's Casey Thompson, who has experience, who can throw the football a lot. If you go back, you're going to see the one guy that, okay, I think now this guy, whether he was named the starter at the time or not, I think this is probably their guy. But then you're watching other guys do it, and they're like, God, he cannot hit the broadside of a barn, but damn, he's fast. Or, boy, this guy can sling it, but I mean, he has the slowest feet I've ever seen. I think about the future of that quarterback room, and for people who have seen TJ Lateef's film as well, they do all have a lot of the commonalities of they can throw. There's enough athleticism, some a little bit better than others as far as that ability to run, but at the very least, when it comes to their athleticism, they're able to extend plays and be able to stay within the play itself. I don't think we've seen that emphasis on, the guy is going to be able to throw it and hopefully throw it accurately, and that's going to continue to develop with time, especially under Glenn Thomas. But it is a more consistent look of the strengths of what these guys can do. And probably the best part about that is it's the strength of what this offense wants to do too. So the future of that position, all of those guys, especially because you're going to watch Heinrich Harburg, and I'm sure even Howard Griffin or Dave Revson are watching that saying, okay, we could see where Heinrich Harburg is a little bit different than the way Dylan chucks it, the way Danny chucks it. But also the fact that they come in with that type of knowledge. And that's something that I brought up a while back, of just basic quarterback play in high school compared to where it was early 2000s or in the 90s, of understanding any pre-snap type of reads, getting involved in an offense, in a high school's offense as early as 7th or 8th grade. I just think quarterbacks are far more advanced. And I think that's throughout the country as well, unless you are seeing a specific quarterback guru in the summer. But I think quarterbacks are just more advanced. So it's being able to evaluate what is going to work for your system. That's the one thing that I think is so different about this group compared to others, is they have, I think, that ability. And as you pointed out, like with Bellevue West, but also with what Dylan comes from between his family and the stops that he's been along, is that nothing is going to be from a technical standpoint or from a verbiage standpoint or understanding simple concepts of what to anticipate with the defense. I don't think any of that overwhelms as much as what you probably saw even 5 years ago with freshman quarterbacks that maybe had to play earlier. It's something that I think even gets lost a little bit with Danny Kaelin. So I'm glad you brought that part of it up with Danny Kaelin.
Speaking of local quarterbacks, in Stillwater, Oklahoma, they may have a controversy at quarterback.
Our friend,
Mr. Bowman, supposed to be the starter, right?
Mm-hmm.
The hype train for Zane Flores is starting to pick up steam. I believe it has left the train station in Tulsa and is bearing down towards Stillwater. Reports out of Oklahoma State have been that Zane has had a really, really good fall camp. So much so that on the Sports Animal, you got the legendary Al Ashbach.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to talk about could a redshirt freshman from Gretna, Nebraska be the starter at Oklahoma State and knock out a guy that you thought would be the starter?
Ooh, wonder what Pat Jones thinks.
Hey, I'm a huge Zane fan, great family. I want him to play well. I wish he was playing closer to here, but it is what it is. But Nebraska kids that go and play quarterback, whether in state or out of state, and do well is great. We should celebrate that because it only helps this state get more recognition. There's already fantastic players around here, but the quarterback position, of course, is treated differently.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody goes from Omaha or Gretna and goes to a Big 12 school in a quarterback-friendly offense and starts and thrives, that is great for the future of, all right, who's the next? But I've been told the Zane train is very real down in Stillwater. So that's great to hear.
Some NIL possibilities there. I like it.
On a train?
Yeah.
Are there a lot
all
of
kinds of
I don't know.
There's
that
got to
much
be a
about
train
Stillwater.
down
I'm
there.
sure they have some type of.
Well, I've spent a lot of time in Oklahoma. I don't recall. Well,
did they have an Amtrak?
They gotta have it.
They do. Well, like when you're driving down 35,
yeah,
and when there is nothing out there except a Brahms and a oil well.
Yeah,
they have trains.
Yeah, if they have to. Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's a lost city or a lost state.
I mean, who wouldn't want to take a train from Oklahoma City to Wichita?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sounds magical.
Especially if you're a lineman. You can be a Wichita lineman.
Remember when Gene Stevenson was doing that? Sarah Baker Hansen. Great to see Coach during the College World Series. He wanted to be on the broadcast so bad.
Did he? Oh,
he would talk to anybody. He talked to Howard Borden 6 times.
Probably has.
All right. Got to take a break. Sarah Baker Hansen will join us here in a little bit. Our resident foodie, Steve Sipple, who sometimes the food ends up on the front of the shirt. He will join us coming up at 8:30 as well on 1620 The Zone. So just on the heels of Nebraska high school quarterbacks being successful at the next level, and there are a lot of them that have, but Adam brings up a good point, and I think he is right. I got to research this a little bit. So just told you got Danny Kaelin at Nebraska, and there have been Nebraska kids that have started at Nebraska. But the question is, who was the last in-state Nebraska kid to go start at a Power 5 school at quarterback? He brought up Allen Everidge when Everidge was at Wisconsin.
Wisconsin and K-State.
Reed
obviously, we don't count Max Duggan because he was in Council Bluffs, but Max Duggan would have been.
If you want to.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the most recent example.
There are
of
some days
a
of the
Metro
week,
guy.
There are some days of the week we claim Council Bluffs.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a Metro. So if you say a Metro guy.
So Everidge was he at Wisconsin? 08 is the year he started.
Yep.
The year that he was a starter at
08.
08.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know if you guys know this. If you woke up today and you looked, that calendar that you have that you rip off the day on your desktop that gives you like the funny sayings, or this day
or
in
maybe
history?
some daily motivation,
or Ziggy.
It's 2024.
Damn it!
So
I got
the Easton Sticks, who were a championship quarterback, but we're talking Power 5. 2008. I think Adam is right here. Wow.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone between that would have been more recent than that.
I mean, when Harburg signed, it was like, whoa, Nebraska hasn't had an in-state quarterback commitment in
that
a
was an
while.
actual scholarship, yeah.
And then it was even more so because his first scholarship offer was from Jeff Hafley when he was the head coach of Boston College.
That's
and we're
right.
like, whoa.
Yeah. I forgot all about that.
So it was Allen Everidge in 2008, the last Nebraska high school kid to go out of state and start at a Power 5 school.
Got benched for
And
Josh
you know what?
Freeman in 06.
I'll say this for the quarterback play in the state of Nebraska. Okay, so watched a couple of games last year, including Bellevue West, and watching Danny Kaelin throw the football. Allen Everidge, when he was at Papillion, lefty, you didn't, the way the ball came out, you didn't see that. It was very different. You could tell, okay, this guy clearly has college future, and you can see why. Because
I liked him.
The trajectory that he threw the ball on, you just did not see that. And that was when I was covering high school football. So that stood out. That was extremely rare. This goes to your point, Gary. Now you could go to several high school football games, and there could be quarterbacks for Class A, Class B teams, even Class C teams. And you're going to see a lot more of what was so rare when you would see an Allen Everidge or that type of guy with an arm. Now, obviously, there were quarterbacks with Eric Crouch, but he wasn't throwing the football either. I mean, that was based on his ability to run the option. But as far as watching the ball come out of any high school quarterback's hand, it stood out when you saw Allen Everidge. Now, that is a little bit more commonplace. So it is, this again goes back to the evolution of the position itself, but also the amount of time and effort and just abilities that you're now seeing in the state. That doesn't, I think that's more commonplace. I think, in fact, the one thing that would probably stand out now is if you saw guys struggling to throw the football in high school right now.
Joey asked, did Philip Bates ever start at Iowa State?
I don't think he did.
No, because he
I remember him, but he never started.
So Omaha North, and he's
Niles Paul,
around the same.
That was a good combo.
Yeah.
Was his last year in high school 06 or 07?
Did you say he was with Niles Paul?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I think it was
I didn't
07.
know
I
that.
think it was 07.
So I don't think, because he left Iowa State because he was in a quarterback battle with Austin Arnaud.
Yep.
Arnaud,
yep.
Yeah.
and I think he left before the start of his sophomore year after fall ball.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he never started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it went from
That was back in the days when Gene Chizik was the head coach at Iowa State.
Yes. Oh my God.
Brett Meyer to Austin Arnaud. Yeah. Chizik had a great 2-year run there.
Hey.
He beat Iowa.
That's right. Gene Chizik.
But you might tiptoe through the tulips. You might want to look at buying some early stock in Iowa State. Don't go all in. Just see if you can get like the penny stock. See if you can,
like the
Like
Wolf
the
of
penny
Wall Street
slot?
stuff.
yes. But Iowa State has my interest, and they've got a quarterback, Rocco Beck, who might do some things. They were better last year than you probably imagined. Their win at Kansas State in the snow late in the year, a big time win.
Talking about warming my confidence.
Yeah, they lost a wide receiver the other day due to an injury, but There's something about Iowa State. That week 2 game in Iowa City is big for both programs.
I love me some Matt Campbell. I don't deny it.
All right, Sarah Baker Hansen, she's going to stop by coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
Halftime is brought to you by the Omaha Whiskey Fest 2024, largest celebration of whiskey in the region. That'll be coming your way downtown Omaha Hilton on September 28th. It's been too long since we've talked to our next guest, and it was actually only just like a week later than what it normally is, but we welcome in Sarah Baker Hansen here at the show on a Thursday morning. Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
Oh, good. We're good. So as we are now making that fun little transition, everybody's talking about football. We're in the lulls of August right now, but I know sometimes that can also have its impact on what we start doing when it comes to socializing with our food and our drink element as well. Are we officially getting ourselves into that fall mindset when it comes to?
I don't know. Are you ready for a pumpkin spice latte?
No. No, we're not.
Absolutely not.
Gary and I were just talking about this yesterday. We've already seen the Sam Adams Oktoberfests being displayed, and I think I've even seen them on some taps at bars. But also, yes, the pumpkin spice latte is now available. So is this something that we can now just start expecting in July next year?
I think it does feel like Christmas and, as a consequence, pumpkin spice latte season do continue to get earlier to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with you. I'm not quite ready. I need the first sort of like cool fall day, which I feel like doesn't usually happen until at the very earliest, sometime in September. Maybe even a little later than that. Like, I'm definitely not drinking a pumpkin spice latte until September. That's my rule.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, I was looking at one of my many food magazines that I subscribed to yesterday, and they had all of the new releases of the pumpkin spice products listed out, and there were many.
This is what's wrong with society today. We just got to jump the gun.
We could have worse vices than pumpkin spice.
All right, so let's. Some people that are enjoying some pumpkin spice. I'm also. I don't think the fall beer should be until Labor Day, but it's a fight. I want to keep Halloween decorations out of my store until like after Labor Day. But it's all these fights that we are not going to be able to win.
We're not going to win. No, we're going to lose. Definitely.
Yep.
On your latest review on Flatwater Free Press, this is a place I've been to.
You have?
Yes. Because it's not, it's not like a standalone, but Reese's Bakery, fantastic. I love the review. I am a huge fan of this place.
Yeah, it's really, so I had received several, and this is noted in the story. One of my friends in the restaurant industry kept sending me photos of croissants and bread and all these various things, and was basically like, you have to go to this place. Like, it's so good. And so I went out there, and it was indeed very good. And it was a really interesting story. I spoke with one of the the wife of the couple who owns Reese's Bakery. And I mean, they're so dedicated to quality ingredients. And I think that is probably the primary reason that it's so good. They're importing flour from France and butter as well. They use Belgian chocolate. They have a German beer bread that they use legit, German beer in. Like, they just don't skimp. They don't cut any corners when it comes to ingredients, and they don't skimp on time either. Like, these are baked goods like laminated pastries and sourdough and things that take a lot of time to do right. And they also invest the time. And so I think that is really what brings us to, the bakery itself being so good.
This is also a part of Omaha's food scene that we know exists. We know there are favorites, but I'm always curious how many options there are when it does come to bakeries that are probably worth your time. Would you say that there's still not as many, or is that maybe what makes it a lot of these stand out, that they're limited on options when it comes to bakeries that are, again, not just, okay, you can get a donut and some type of nice, glazed croissant or something like that. I mean, are we seeing more of them, less, or is it a good number?
I think we definitely went through sort of the cupcake phase where there were tons of cupcakes, and then we got crumble cookies. There are a lot of, big kind of chain bakeries and name bakeries. And then there are bakeries that really specialize in sweets. Then we got some Asian bakeries that specialize in that area. But I think really what makes Reese's stand out is that, I can really only think of one other bakery, which is Le Petit Paris, next to Le Voltaire, that really is doing these kinds of European pastries. And I just thought, they're a very small operation. Obviously, they started as a cottage bakery working out of their kitchen. And then, they opened only around a year ago. So they're not very old. But I just think that, their precision and dedication to using only the finest ingredients feels very European to me. Like they're not going to make anything that doesn't fit in with what their mindset is. So, you will find lots of bread. They make a special bread, which we tried, that it's their own creation. It has pieces of salami and cheese, like kind of kneaded right into the dough. And it's so good. And, they don't make things every day. So, some days that will be the special bread and other days they won't even have it. But they do have baguettes and other types of bread every day. And their desserts, there are only a few, like there's like 2 or 3, and that's it. I mean, they aren't making loads of different choices. And I think that's, again, part of their dedication to keeping it really legit.
And it's located 119th, 120th area off of Pacific.
Yeah. If you know where Brother Sebastian's is, it's on that side of the strip area, across from kind of Bagel Bin.
It's like the secret area where all of a sudden you're going back there, and then boom, there it is.
And it's also in a parking lot that's a lot easier to get into. You don't have to drive straight up the side of a mountain.
It's not on a super steep hill.
Yes. Hey, you brought up cookies. So we had Crumble that came into this market and has been very popular. We've now seen some other, what I would consider local cookie shops that have started to pop up. Insomnia Cookies started downtown. I stopped the other night because I was in Blackstone. Insomnia Cookies is going to do big business now that they have a location in Blackstone. But you brought up cupcakes, and that's Jones Bros has a lot of great stuff, but that's kind of what a lot of people attached to Jones Bros was their cupcakes. And then that industry seemed, while it was blowing up, then all of a sudden a lot of shops started to close down because that's all they did. How long do you see the cookie industry and this trend going? What's the shelf life of the cookie industry, do you think?
I remember in the 90s when I was in high school, we went to the cookie company. So
yes. At the mall.
I feel like the cookies are pretty, cupcakes I think had kind of they were trendy for, their 15 minutes. And I think they're still good. Like they're just not as hot. And I do think a cookie to me is it's just more of a classic, I guess. They're both classics, but as far as like a cookie goes over a cupcake, I just feel like there's more staying power there. And I think things like, the Mall Cookie Company or other places like that are testament to that.
So, and it makes me think of things that already do exist would there be a market for a new one? And I always think of, we have Krispy Kreme, we have Winchell's, we have donut shops. And there are smaller communities, a great one in Blair that we recently went to in Jim and Connie's, which is actually a bakery too, but they just also happen to have really good donuts. Is that also just the donut industry as far as having anything local? Is it because there's just not much more you can do to a donut that it's actually going to be something that, did you hear there's a new donut shop? We got to go there.
Yeah. I mean, I think like all of these things sort of there comes, a moment where one thing is more popular than the other. Definitely. I think of that place called Square Donut, the sort of popularity of that.
Yeah.
And I think these things are just like any other, kind of food trend. Like they'll come and go in popularity, over time. But it will be interesting. I think donuts are, we saw, this was quite a few years ago now, but when Voodoo Donut opened and there was this like huge craze of donuts, like I think, things kind of ebb and flow as far as popularity. Pumpkin spice is the one thing that remains always popular.
Hey,
you had to remind us.
You have your ear to the ground, and you were mentioning the different food magazines that you get. As we get into the fall and a lot of places already looking towards next spring, what do you think is the next like unique food trend that we might either see here in Omaha or start to kind of take hold in some of the bigger cities?
Oh, I think the new sort of flavor trend is dill pickle. And I think we're already seeing it. Like, have you seen the dill pickle ketchup?
No.
There's a new flavor that you can find. I actually have a jar of it or a squeeze bottle, I guess, of Heinz dill pickle ketchup. There's dill pickle goldfish crackers, and there's like dill pickle everything. And so I feel like that flavor I think is really going to be permeating the food trends this fall. So brace yourself for dill pickle.
So it's funny you say that because I've noticed in the last year and a half, even in the craft beer industry, almost every brewing company now has their type of pickle beer.
Yeah.
When it was kind of rare, and it's kind of appropriate as we get into tailgating season too, and you think of Bloody Marys or using the sidecars of the Bloody Marys, having a dill pickle beer would be
for sure.
ideal for something like that.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it go in the direction of like a dill pickle wing. I can imagine that becoming a thing.
Okay.
I can, dill pickle ranch, I bet is, something I can imagine. So I think this, this is like a flavor profile that a lot of people like. But it's also something new that we haven't seen before. So I think that, that's kind of what I think is going to be big this fall.
My wife is growing basil and dill in the backyard. You're telling me we need to just double that up as far as the dill? I mean, we might be onto something right now.
Yeah, get some pickling spice and you're in business. Dill donut.
Oh no, I'm drawing a line there. Dill pickle runza. Ooh, you throw a pickle in the runza, might not be the worst
The
thing.
cheeseburger runza.
Yeah.
Now we might be stretching a little bit. Hey, we got an email from a listener a couple of weeks ago. This is a good email, but they thought you would know because you have been involved with Maha. It kind of coincided a little bit after the last time we talked that they missed Maha. Any update on Maha for 2025?
Not yet. We're still working on it. Hopefully we will have an update soon. But yeah, I very much missed Maha this year too, and I know a lot of folks did. But we'll keep you posted as soon as we have any updates there.
Fantastic. As always, we appreciate it. Have a great rest of the week.
Thanks, you too.
It's Sarah Baker Hansen. Flatwater Free Press is where you can find her latest review.
They don't spell Reese the right way, though. Oh, my gosh. She was talking about it. I don't know if you had this. She was talking about that bread that has salami and provolone.
I did not.
I
did see it.
I need that.
They opened up in May of 23. It's kind of, it's like a strip mall.
Yeah.
But 120 in the Pacific.
Yeah, how many times?
It's a good place. It smells wonderful. And the people that work there are like, they will tell you what, like you're ordering something you don't know, they will explain it to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice place. I when I saw Sarah's review, I was like, oh, she's really good at her job because it's kind of an off the beaten path place that is always busy.
Well, and that's not too far from the Bagel Bin.
No, it's across the street.
Yeah. So as I was
going to
Bagel Bin, if we had more time, I was going to ask her about a flagel, by the way. Let's see if they use that in her world.
When you have more time this weekend, get out, see if you see any place that is offering flagels.
And if they call it that. That's I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no,
they even sell them.
They can't
at the
sell you a
stores.
bagel that looks smaller and go, yeah, this is on the lighter side. No, that's a flagel.
Mm-hmm.
But did you
do have
make
good
that
bagel
name up, or
places,
is it actually called that?
No, I've seen it on menus.
Okay,
where you can get a flagel.
Okay, so it is a flagel.
Ken says Heinz dill pickle ketchup is amazing. I highly recommend it. Lots of exclamation points. So that must be really good. I don't know.
I put pickles on hot dogs, but I don't put ketchup on hot dogs. So I mean, what if
This ketchup doesn't belong on a hot dog.
Right. So
in the Constitution.
I don't think I could do that.
Okay, so somebody's ruined the whole experience of cheeseburger pizzas where you throw pickle on there. No.
I don't mind it.
I'm not disagreeing.
I about went digital underground, but we're in the 8 o'clock hour and I'm more mature.
You almost went to the Humpty Dance?
That's what I thought.
Just know that I still get paid.
Did you once get down in the Burger King bathroom?
Who hasn't? It used to be a different establishment in those days.
Hey, I know this is
no, I did not.
Not
do
me.
you, do you want a
part of the
1620
BK
the zone
Club.
bad food take? I actually don't mind the cheeseburger pizza, and it
That's,
does have pickles on
That
it.
qualifies as a bad food take
That's
for
fine.
this radio station.
That's fine. I think it's actually pretty good. You can't just not anybody can just do a cheeseburger pizza though. They do well.
Yeah,
Val's did a good one back in the day.
I mean, the pickle is on the pickle is prominent.
Mhm.
People like the pickle
Well-
because the pickle is everywhere. We talked about the pickle the other day. Is you can go into a bar and you can get a pickle out of a jar.
Yeah, big pickle.
People now like
Get caught
the
in a pickle.
pickle has made it closer to the checkout of the convenience store
Yeah.
because it's in the package.
Kids always want a pickle.
But pickles are for certain things. We don't need to overexpose the pickle and put the pickle on everything. Okay, just because the pickle is hot. The pickle is rightfully at where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
We don't need to be crazy about this and just start putting pickles everywhere and thinking, oh, they help with the taste. You know what? Pickles are there for a reason. They have their spot. They stay in their lane. We don't need to take them out of their lane aggressively.
Yeah, they're not
And
a
I think-
starter. They're a bench
And I really
player.
think that's what happened in the food industry right now is we found the pickle and now we just want to expand the pickle.
So the pickle's being exploited is what you're saying.
Yeah, a little bit. Can you, it's not coming up on my phone. Can you read Fremont Fred's tweet?
It's not coming up on your phone, is it?
No.
Weird. You must have some type of odd filter. The shape of a dill donut would be the selling point.
Indeed.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Okay. Clint's with me. Said the pickles, they're getting too much. Hey,
I understand
like the
this.
cupcake. The cupcake just blew up and then we killed the cupcake. The cupcake went, we were told that the cupcake.
Well, they started miniaturizing them.
I mean, you know.
Mine was I need to check my blood now every other
Well,
day.
that's the other thing too. With the cupcake, you started putting way too much frosting on them. I'm not saying you, Jimmy, but the cupcake industry,
I probably would have.
You would have, there would be
I earned
basically
my
an
meds.
upper bowl of, you'd have your lower bowl and your upper bowl of icing on top of a cupcake.
You can see Sarah's review at Flatwater Free Press. Bob writes into the show.
Hi, Bob.
He wants to talk a little Husker football about the UTEP game, which is not very far away. UTEP defensive line, they got a nice unit. I bet they throw a couple of wrinkles early at Nebraska. That's something to watch. Just watching some of their practice video, they love their defensive line. So Bob writes in, call me crazy, but I saw several UTEP games last season in competitive Conference USA. Yes, they were often outmatched, but it can't be said that either individual or positionally, they did not have more production and now experience at the offensive positions than Nebraska will put on the field in a few weeks. Game 1 is going to be Nebraska's most shaky game, most likely, and I am not assuming that Nebraska's offseason improvement is going to be evident right away. Also not fair to assume UTEP will not be improved with some of their returning players. Now, they did lose some key guys, and they have a brand new coaching staff.
Their offensive line is pretty much new.
A dropped O-line block here and there, a few stalled drives, and maybe a turnover in Nebraska territory, and it might not be the cakewalk game people are predicting. 3 of Nebraska's top rushers from last season either are gone or won't be carrying the ball against UTEP. Lots of unproven offensive guys will be relied on in game 1. That is from Bob. Now, Nebraska defensively should be good right out of the jump.
Yes.
I think Nebraska in game 1 will suffocate UTEP on offense. Now, offensively, I think Nebraska will have some growing pains. We'll get into this with SIP because Dylan Raiola will have growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
What type of growing pains will they be? Will they be because of things the defense throws at him? A lingering injury? Or how about even the weather? Something to keep in mind. What is the coldest game that Dylan Raiola has ever played in as a quarterback?
That's a
good point.
That's a great point.
Has he ever played in a game that the temperature was below 50? Below 40?
Very, very unlikely.
No.
Very unlikely.
You can adjust. I get it. But that's if you had to think about what type of duress that he would encounter or growing pains during his first year, It would be things that he has not seen before that will be thrown at him.
Mm-hmm.
They like the Wisconsin game 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or let's just everybody that plays that position, that plays in that stadium and plays in this conference, will have to adjust what October, November football is like. The wind picks up, the wind goes sideways, gets a little bit colder.
Even when it's warm and you have a south wind, it can be windy.
And this is going to sound probably kind of nerdy and maybe like, come on, really? But I go back to Heinrich Harburg's throwing style. When you had wind, oh my God. That was a major issue, thrown into the wind with the way that his ball elevated as opposed to just staying on a trajectory. So there are parts of the way Dylan throws his football that I'm maybe not as concerned about the wind. He was exposed to, a very brief sample size in the spring and a little bit of cooler temperatures in the spring. But yeah, you're right. I mean, as far as competition, game speed, stakes being higher, those little factors playing into just unfamiliarity of how you respond. But this also goes back to something you talked about before, and even to the gentleman who just emailed, the more Dylan, I think, can endure, communicate, and overcome in that first game, I think is actually would be such a major positive. I mean, this goes back to what you talked about, getting adversity early in camp, seeing how your guys respond, seeing how a young player responds to that. But in a game where I think you do have, this is not to overlook any opponent because I know Nebraska is in no position to do so, but this is also a game that you have the backstop, because I would agree that Nebraska's defense, given what we know when we talked about UTEP a couple of weeks ago with their play-by-play voice, John Teicher, their offensive line is pretty much pieced together right now, that if you look at the biggest strength right now of this team is that defensive line, and that they can rotate in, that will hammer down. It's going to have its impact. So as Dylan is maybe experiencing some things for the first time, able to, more than anything, I want to see how he responds to it, but I want to see what that communication's like as far as what he's seeing, how he and Glenn Thomas are working, because we haven't seen either one of those guys together. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen any of the quarterbacks working with Glenn Thomas together to see what that relationship and that communication on the sideline, which is going to be imperative for him in that first month. I'm really fascinated to see how that goes down.
Also, there's going to be times where there's going to be duress, where, you are behind.
Yep.
All of a sudden you trail.
What's the vibe like?
And you're not like, and you're not having a good day at the office.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're part of the problem.
And instead of being Superman, you're just Clark Kent for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe not, like Clark Kent still was a banger, but maybe you're like, Charlie Kent.
Okay. His younger disappointing brother?
Yes. The one brother you don't tell anybody about.
It's like Billy Carter.
That is unemployed. That has had some marital issues.
Is Cooper Manning? Actually, Cooper Manning was
He had to move
successful.
back in with mom and dad.
Yeah.
Clark is the one everybody talks about.
He was the one that they always said, why couldn't you be more like Clark?
Yeah. But Charlie is like, you know what? We made a mistake. Because there will be duress, and it's how you handle it.
Right.
I mean, and I think that's also, I think the head man and I are feeling it here, because they are doing a lot more situational things,
mm-hmm.
where you have to get to a point, especially at that position, where you can deal with being uncomfortable. And how do you react when you are uncomfortable? And that it's okay to be uncomfortable, but what do you do with it?
Yep.
And just hearing them talk that they are doing more situational things, I think they're thinking along the same lines of, let's put them in scenarios that when they creep up week 2 or week 3, we've at least addressed them. And how do you respond? So now you can put that at them,
mm-hmm.
and you can correct things on the fly. Now, he's good enough where there aren't a lot of those things where you go, man, that guy's under duress. It's going to be a tough day. He's not only Charlie, he's, yeah.
I always think of those games that Iowa State 2009 would be an example, but the games where maybe at first you're playing okay, but it's just one of those odd games where everything is either off course, balls there, guys aren't catching that football. You're getting frustrated because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then that still you're young and you're thrown to maybe some more veteran guys or maybe some veteran guys behind you are dropping the football, fumbling the football, whatever it is, how you keep your composure, but also needing to be that leader on the field and insert yourself a little bit, and also avoiding the no one's making a play, so now I got to make a play, I got to press, I got to get out of my element, and then you make the mistake too. Then it's on you as well. Can you avoid that too? Can you stay? I know this is the most cliche thing, but I think for a freshman more than anything, and this is what I was always impressed with Adrian as far as his demeanor and his body language is very, very even keel when those things happen. I think that is the first thing you want to see out of anything. Mistakes, highs and lows, is that his body language, his presence is even keel, even when things are just completely going haywire, which they will.
It's amazing because on the sidelines, it was not that way. Like you watch Rule in his discussion with players in real time on the field. He's a guy that chews butt, but doesn't lose it. Like he doesn't.
No, he coaches them hard, but fair.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to describe it. Where I think when you have a freshman in that situation, if the head coach is calm but authoritative, the quarterback feels a sense of calm and not it's just helter-skelter and it's all over the place and you're screaming and you don't know what you're saying and you're frothing at the mouth and then that kid is screaming at you and you're like, okay, I got to go back out there.
Right.
So there's more
I'm behind you.
There's more stability in that I think can help any freshman quarterback when they're going to be put on the field right away because he's going to be one of the rare ones this year. Plays a true freshman. Steve Sipple. He will join us next. Not a true freshman.
He's a rare one, though.
He will stop by the program. We'll get his thoughts as Nebraska comes up on a scrimmage this weekend. And then the light is getting a lot brighter at the end of the tunnel. This is kind of a shakedown next couple of days in Lincoln of guys on where they're going to be on the depth chart. So Sip will join us next on 1620 The Zone.
Heard
All right,
this song coming in.
The Foo's making an appearance on the show.
This is my favorite Foo Fighters song. So thank you, Jimmy.
Really, Steve Sipple probably has wanted to go to a Foo Fighter concert.
You seem to be a Dave Grohl fan.
Oh, good morning.
Hey, guys. How are we doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay. What are you doing
Walking the dog.
Oh, that's
What?
right. We always catch you when you're walking Bullet.
Yeah, Bullet. We're on a little walk. We're almost done, though. So
okay.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
All right. I can only imagine. I think we should do maybe a live stream one day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little, yeah.
Let's do that.
It's interesting. Well, walking we live right by a school, and there's a lot of activity, but today there's not as much. Would have been a good day to do it.
Yeah. School's
Strangely,
starting.
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know if I'm a little late or a little early or what. But anyway, yeah, that's what we're doing. It's a beautiful morning in Lincoln.
All
Beautiful.
right. Well, we're a couple weeks from the season. Because I want to be fair here, and everybody that has watched Nebraska or talked about Nebraska and talks about QB1, they say all the right things. It is August 15th. The season starts August 31st. Nebraska has a legit quarterback one that could someday turn into a superstar, but gives you a different vibe than previous quarterbacks here. Give me one thing. I'm trying to be fair here because we got to play both sides. Give me one thing, and if there's not, please tell me, one thing that you've heard or you sense that is a little bit of pause of slow the Dylan hype train down just a bit.
Oh, I don't mind saying that. It's nothing I've heard, though. It's something I've seen on my own, and I've alluded to it before. He's really talented, obviously, all that. You don't need to go through all that, actually, because everybody knows by now. But I just sometimes I wonder if he understands the level of urgency he's going to have to play with, down to down, especially when you get into Big Ten play. That you really got to, every down, you have to play with urgency. You have to get the ball out fast. You have to make good, quick decisions. And, that's the thing coming from high school. Sometimes kids don't fully understand that. And the reason I raised that with Dylan is because he is so talented. He does tend to make things look easy. And I just hope he understands it's not going to be easy. It'll be really hard sometimes, especially when when you're playing the Ohio State. It's rough. I mean, there's going to be horrifying situations. And I just hope I hope, and Rules alluded to it too, that he alluded to it last week, that position, there's going to be so much adversity, and how do they handle it? And that's the one thing I don't know with Dylan. I don't think he's ever had to handle anything too major, and it's going to get major. I say it all the time. I've watched those games for years, and I always kind of marvel in a way. That's not the best word, but how it must just feel like the world is crashing down around the quarterback at sometimes. And he's got to get ready for that. And then it just doesn't stop. It's the post game. You got to take questions from the media. I think about Adrian at Colorado in 2019 when it just blew up on him in the second half, and I don't know, a snap went awry and he cussed in the post game, and it just must have felt like, I can only imagine. So it gets weird. It can get really weird here.
If we see growth early on and Dylan has a successful freshman campaign, however anybody wants to define what that success is, that the end of the day, we say he was part of the solution, not a problem. Yeah. How much of that do you think we will also go back to the relationship and the importance of getting a guy like Glenn Thomas?
Oh, that's an interesting question. My reaction is such that he might be overlooked a little bit, Glenn Thomas. He might get overlooked in that discussion. overlooked in the sense that the credit might go elsewhere.
Yep.
It might go to Donovan before him.
Sure.
It might go to Satterfield before him. Glenn Thomas is that type of guy, though. He doesn't invite a lot of attention. He just, he kind of, John Butler reminds me of Glenn Thomas in that sense. They're just guys that go to work.
Yep.
They are very nondescript, low key, hard nosed, pull your hat down and go. That's what they both are. There's no me. They're not look at me guys at all, especially Thomas. So I think he'll get overlooked a little bit, is what I think.
Hey, do we need to come up with a nickname for the Miami kids? Because Vincent Shavers is going to play, and then, and there are other guys. Yeah, they're going to play. But then somebody who, you taught me this a long time ago, is listen closely to coaches that will drop a name that you don't normally hear. You told me that a long time ago, Sip. And so I'm very cognizant of that. Some coaches just rattle off name after name because they want to get everybody out there. Rule last week mentioned Amari Sanders. And I thought, okay, there's a lot of candidates at cornerback. Why in week 2 of camp would he mention Amari Sanders? And then I perked up again yesterday when I watched the Big Ten Network show. Tony White brought his name up. There's options at cornerback, but what does it say
John
that
Bullock, too.
They have had more guys in this recruiting class from this past year that are being mentioned and are legit candidates to play more than 4 games?
Yeah, it's a good sign for Amari Sanders. I got to think it's now. There's some cases where they do it, and there's a sort of a ulterior motive.
But I don't think Rule's that way, because Rule will mention some obscure guys, and then there will be veteran guys like Nick just mentioned. John Bullock will back that up.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm not suggesting that Sanders there's an ulterior motive. What I was going to say is I think there is sometimes, but I don't think there is in this case. I think that he must. I mean, obviously he's made an impression in camp, and there's a job opening, and Sanders, like I hope most players would do, is say there's an opening here. I mean, it's clear they're going to start Bly Hill, but now Bly Hill's not available, so now there's a job open. I'm going to try to get it. That's what you hope everybody does. But Sanders probably just took to the coaching quickly. Obviously has some ability and made his presence known. And whether he gets the job or not, he still made his presence known. And then it manifests itself in the form of, well, now he's getting mentioned publicly. Doesn't always happen. I mean, there's guys that make their presence known but don't get mentioned. So yeah, I just think purely Sanders has put himself in that conversation, and it's open. I mean, you can tell nobody's seized it yet. It's got to happen here pretty quick. Or maybe it goes into the season, and I don't know. I would hope somebody seizes it. But yeah, I didn't know much about Sanders at all, and I still don't know much about him.
Well, he had some pretty good offers coming out of high school, but the thing that really kind of perks me up even more is he didn't early enroll. His position coach essentially has been John Butler for as many months as it's been Evan Cooper. I mean, that there has to be something there that in a short amount of time he has gotten into the mix, because I don't think Rule would just throw his name out there, especially for a true freshman.
No, and Tony White wouldn't either.
Yeah.
So he's probably got here. Those guys were out here early June. I mean, the one thing is he probably came in and made an impression fairly early, and you can do that now. You can do that now in college football because June's a month. I mean, they're working. I mean, it's when you listen to coaches, if you really listen to them, like I was struck by a conversation with Garrett McGuire when I was in Texas, Belton, Texas. It was the first week of June. And they were down there. The coaches were down there for the satellite camp. He said, "I just can't wait to get back as OTA start. I can't wait to see how the guys do." And I'm like, "Wow! I mean, they're rolling. They are rolling in June. So those freshmen can come in if they come in with the right mindset and make an impression right away, just with their level of detail. And they're just what they show on a daily basis, because there's what I'm suggesting is there's opportunities in June that we don't even think about.
Yeah. The thing because Gary has always mentioned the Miami guys as well, and hearing Amari Sanders be brought up, it makes me think of the type of football. And again, this is where Gary's more familiar with this, having worked out there, seeing the type of talented football that comes out of Miami, but to see not one, not two, but three people that are essentially at least being talked about, validating that talent early in their career. Sip, if that is the case, so let's say Vincent Shavers, he stands out as a freshman. Say Ja'Cory Barney has a role, and you're like, damn, okay, this kid looks like there's definitely something there, and he is shedding a red shirt. And then maybe Amari Sanders finds himself in that rotation at corner. What does that also tell you about the ability to develop and fulfill just talent that comes in that is raw at the college game, but to see that maybe it already is having an impact that early in their career? Because that's something, quite frankly, Sip, we haven't seen with true freshmen, even if they're not necessarily starters, but impacting and being able to make that decision very tough on the coaches of whether to redshirt or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's good on a lot of levels. One level is it gives you an opportunity to go back there and get similar guys. It gives you, there's an opportunity always, but it gives you a better opportunity if those guys work out. That's one thing. And you just always, I don't know, I think this is not answering your question, but this is the way I think about it all the time. If you're in Nebraska, you just have to find anywhere where there's guys. I mean, and Nebraska does it. Rule does it. You take kids from Germany, you take them from wherever. Nebraska is not. It's just the sort of place where you got to be very open-minded. And if Miami's part of that, the city of Miami, Dade County, that area is part of your pipeline, that's good. And if it's enhanced by the fact that they got a few players in the program that are obviously good, I mean, you can say it already about Barney and Shavers. They're good. They're, I don't mind saying it.
Yeah.
They're good players, and they're going to have an impact. And if you can keep them, if you can keep them around, that should bode well for the future. But I'm more about what's happening right now, and I think those guys, particularly Barney, are going to help you right away. Shavers probably has, he's on that second tier of those inside linebackers. That position's Bullock and Javin Wright. Don't get that wrong. That's John Bullock and Javin Wright. That's not Shavers. Shavers will probably have some opportunities, but he's going to have to develop that critical word, trust. Can you trust him?
Yeah.
It's nice for the media guys to get on the radio and talk in mid-August about what a explosive athlete Shavers is, but you got to trust him in all of these tight games that you're in. That he's not going to mess up, and there's going to be a bust. And there's the Illinois running back going 70 yards because the freshman couldn't get in the right spot. There's got to be trust, and that's what we'll see how far he can go in that regard.
He strikes me as a guy. I absolutely agree with you on trust, and he's still a little bit raw. And it just, when the ball is snapped, he just goes. He feels like, though, with that mentality and wanting to play, and he has so much burst and energy, he's going to be a really good special teams guy in year one.
Yeah, I hope so. It feels like he's that type of guy, right? That's a mentality. A lot of it. There's a lot of want to there. I hope he's volunteering for special teams because he could make a mark in that regard if he wants to.
How big of a deal is the scrimmage this weekend?
Huge. I mean, it's huge. Second, it's the final scrimmage. Those two scrimmages are gigantic. There's guys that are in prove it mode. They're the offense. Come on. I mean, the offense. That line has to show. It's capable, even under adverse circumstances with the injuries. No, it's big. They're always big. All these, come on, man, this is it. They're in that critical period.
think I was
And
playing.
every practice is big. Every practice is big.
All right. Hey, one quick thing. What do you think of James Williams?
Thank you.
He's interesting. He's very confident at the podium. I was struck. Everybody was struck by just how at ease he was in that setting. I'm just more interested in the podium thing. Never does a whole lot for me. I'm really interested to see what he looks like on second down against the run. That's what I'm interested.
I knew you were going there. I tried.
Old school, Gary. Old school.
I know.
He's pretty funny
I
though.
know. He's
a funny guy.
He's kind of a worldly thinker. I thought his discussion about the 105 and where his role is. Hey, Sip, if this is the previous staff, there's no guy named James Williams playing at Nebraska. But because because this staff looked in the mirror and said, we are a development program, we're going to say it out loud. That's how we're going to approach guys. That's why the Gramstads and the Williams end up at Nebraska.
Yeah, I hate to do the staff comparison thing. I'd have to.
Well, just you can pick a couple back. No, nobody ever said we're a development program. They were afraid to say that out loud. These guys have said it out loud, and they followed it up with guys that you go, man, I don't know if I'm seeing what you're seeing, Coach Rule. And then all of a sudden, James Williams shows up playing against Northwestern, and you're like, who in the hell is this guy?
Yep.
Really interesting. That developmental program thing is really interesting because I think of it a little differently, I think. I mean, isn't Ohio State a developmental program? Don't they develop players at a super high level? Wouldn't Ryan Day say, wait a second, you don't think we develop players?
There are, yes, but they are a program that has access to higher level players that they still have to develop. I'm talking about the Iowa model, where Iowa recruits okay, but they get under the radar guys that when they leave the program, their recruiting ranking, if you had to re-rank them, would be much higher than it was when they walked into Iowa City.
Yep.
Oh, I 100%. But I'll tell you what, Nebraska, you can if you just play that little game, man, you can play it as far as this guy developed, this guy developed, this guy developed. Wow. I mean, there's stark examples all across that team of guys that developed at a high level.
Yep. Absolutely. Sip, appreciate it. Thank you for the time. Have a great weekend. Have a good event tonight. That's pretty cool what you guys are doing at On 3.
All right. Well, thank you, Gary. You guys have a good day.
All right. You see that on Sip's Twitter account. We're having a little get-together. Sip with Sip.
Sipping with Sip.
Ooh, that's a good idea. I like that.
Couple sips with Sip. You read my mind on James Williams. I wanted to ask about him because I know Sip was there when he was being interviewed. And look, we do get sometimes wrapped up in somebody's presence, especially someone that we haven't had a chance to hear from a whole heck of a lot. But James Williams' story is obviously well documented, very, very interesting. And I'm exactly right there with you when it came to his path being here, the opportunity that he's had, and that example for other guys that there was something said interesting yesterday about guys having the opportunity, making the most of it. When Dave Revson is interviewing Matt Rule, and he mentioned something that I know every football program that is worth its salt is going to do this, but taking advantage of the extra analysts and assistant coaches and having them to be on the field. And you brought this up a long time ago, the importance of what would be Nebraska's path to success going forward, and that is developing the bottom half of the roster. Now having those assistant coaches to be able to help develop your third string. Matt Rule said, our third team guys know like they're getting coached. Our third team guys, when it comes to a decision that they might have to make at the end of the season of do they stay or do they go, at the very least, they should know that they're getting an opportunity, that they're getting coached, they're getting that D word developed, because now you have more eyeballs on them. Maybe Tony White's spending a little bit more time with some of his front end guys. Maybe John Butler is spending more time with his top two guys in the secondary. But you also have assistant defensive back coaches, assistant linebackers, defensive line coaches that are also working with the rank and file, so to speak, or just the younger guys that aren't quite there yet physically and mentally, but are still getting that type of opportunity. And then when I think of James Williams, I think of the opportunity, and then to kind of get his perspective of where he stands, what he's done to improve his ability to be on the field more, But you hit the nail on the head. The fact that he even got that opportunity in itself tells you a lot about this coaching staff's ability to see something, not the full package, but something that, hey, we can work with this. Let's develop that. Let's get as many resources on these guys so we have that depth. That, in my opinion, is the definition of a developmental program right there.
Nebraska missed out for a while. Remember when they first joined the Big Ten and they played Michigan State a lot?
Yep.
And I thought, man, Nebraska could be Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of things Michigan State does that are very similar to Nebraska, a little bit under the radar, recruit okay, but Mark D'Antonio was a development guy.
Yep.
He said that. They said it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska ran away from it forever. People in Iowa City, they embrace it. They'll get dudes. I mean, they'll get an Epinesa and guys like that.
Yeah.
And they actually develop the high-end guys. I mean, that's you gotta develop the high-end guys and the low-end guys. And finally, and it's also a little bit of you have to be confident in your coaching ability. You can't say we're a development program and then have coaches that don't develop kids.
Right.
I mean, that's, what are you selling me? So those have to coincide. And they finally have done that. And I think it also allows you to always be upgrading your roster.
Mm-hmm.
The door is never closed to add talent because even if a guy is coming from an NAIA school and spins the ball, you're like, you know what? We can get him to a point where he might be able to help us.
Yeah.
And that's what your job is. Finally, you're doing your job. Your job is to always be improving yourself.
Yep.
Don't shut the door. And make yourself better because the coach has got to be better this year and make the players better.
Mm-hmm.
It goes hand in hand. Sounds simple. I know it's not. We got to take a quick break. Brian Edwards coming up in the last hour. Plus, we got more weddings, including Zach, which is a cool story that I'm glad to see the picture that he shared with us, the Lego Maniac. Share that email with you and more. And Aaron Judge, top 15 in terms of popularity in the U.S. of professional athletes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say so. Especially playing for the Yankees. Decent dude.
He's big.
We'll get into that coming up in the last hour as well in 1620 The Zone.
Join the VIP club. Sign up for 1620 The Email. You'll be the first to know all the exciting content that's happening on 1620 The Zone, including sports news, contests, promotions, and more. Sign up today, 1620thezone.com.
Hey, famous Amos, Willie Amos, from his cookie company, passed away yesterday at the age of 88.
Mm-hmm.
Famous Amos.
Made an appearance in The Office, by the way.
Was also on Shark Tank.
Yep.
No relation to Amos Otis.
A lot of people, were like, "Oh man, he was such a positive guy."
Mm-hmm.
How many people have ever eaten his cookies?
Never. I've never had one.
Oh, I'm sure I have.
I
never met a cookie.
I've never met Otis Spunkmeyer, but I ate a lot of his cookies in high school.
I remember his basketball classic.
I don't think that if you went to your vending machine at your office today and you had options and they were like Famous Amos cookies, I don't think Famous Amos cookies might be in your top 5 of the vending machine.
Sounds like my middle school vending machine.
This is a great exercise. The power rankings at your office of what's in the vending machine.
Ooh. You're always going to have a Twix in there, aren't you? I feel like there's always a Twix. Maybe I'm too tunnel vision on Seinfeld in the Twix episode at the car dealership.
Should go look during the break.
Yeah, during the break, Jimmy.
I bet you there's a Twix.
Do a quick power ranking of what is in the vending machine here.
Snickers.
Snickers is so it's in your
Snickers in my top 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's Pop-Tarts in there, but it's not a flavor. I'd be like, I want that.
Yeah, I'm not going to Pop-Tart out of a vending machine.
It might be the healthiest thing in that vending machine.
Rice Krispie treat. That'd be my top 5. But you know what would be last? Even if it was the only item in the vending machine, I'd keep it moving.
Cottage cheese.
No. Where have you seen a vending machine that has cottage cheese?
I mean, I used to see sandwiches in a vending machine.
Is it like a soft serve machine? You go.
If you really break it down, cottage cheese is disgusting.
It is.
It is. It's the only thing I do not like.
But it actually, like, you can use it on stuff and it tastes good.
I only eat cottage cheese at a salad bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the little bacon bits on it?
Yeah.
But the by far worst thing that could ever be in a vending machine, apple crisps. I would rather eat drywall than purchase a bag of apple crisp out of a vending machine.
Dorothy Lynch on that drywall?
Yeah, I wouldn't. That would be up there. I haven't seen enough apple crisps to, I guess, have an opinion on it. It's not good. I would not even know it's there. The other one that I know some people really like that it's probably at the very bottom is Gardettos.
I like Gardettos.
I'm not a fan of Gardettos. And I especially am not going to seek it out in a vending machine. Even if it's the only thing there, I'm just going to move on.
Sea salt and vinegar chips.
Yay or nay?
Got to be near the top of the podium with a gold medal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What about the basic, because it always hits, I'm telling you, just basic pretzels. Just pretzels.
Over Gardettos? Gardettos has pretzels.
Yeah, but they don't have what's the little brown thing that's supposed to be like a hardened, like a hardened bread piece, supposed to be kind of like a crouton-ish thing. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's too.
You just rather have a dry bag of pretzels?
Yeah.
Rolled gold.
Sure would.
Like not dots, but like the just normal pretzels.
Ice cold Miller pretzels. Genuine Draft.
Yep. Just the mini pretzels that you would typically get at a bar. So those pretzels are making me thirsty.
You like burning money, don't you?
Mm.
Well, I'm just saying, if
I
it's
gotta
there,
call Dad today.
If it's there, I'd eat it. I'd eat it over Gardettos.
What about Takis?
What?
The kids love Takis.
What the hell are Takis?
Love. Delicious.
I think they're in our vending machine. You'll check them out during the break.
I'll do the work here. And
when you said Dots pretzels, I thought you were going to go back to your love for the Dots candy.
I've done that before.
No, very much different.
Yeah. Yes, obviously.
Yeah, very much different.
Those pretzels don't stick to your teeth.
Zach writes in, you guys are crazy. Cottage cheese is amazing. It's great to eat on its own. Put it in lasagna.
Yes, put it in lasagna.
In things,
yes,
okay.
In things, yes.
But I'm not getting the individual carton cottage cheese. Cottage cheese on a salad bar just hits different.
It does.
That's true.
And sometimes, I don't know what a salad dressing you put on yours during the salad bar. I like to put on ranch because usually the ranch is good. If the ranch kind of seeps into the cottage cheese a little bit.
So Nebraska.
Shout out Bubba's in Strang, Nebraska. Excellent cottage cheese.
See, now I want
like a onion and some.
I think if you're known for
now, I want to go to Brother Sebastian.
I think if you're known for your cottage cheese, and that's what you're known for,
they're not known for it. It's just good.
It's probably not.
I hope
not
your
great.
401k looks good. Brian Edwards still to come before we're out of here at 10 on 1620 The Zone. All right, the power ranking of things that you might find in your vending machine at your office. Sea salt and vinegar chips. Hopefully not apple crisps. You might find Rice Krispie treats. You might find peanut M&Ms.
Yes, we have those.
There we go.
Takis, of course. What is in our vending machine?
Takis.
Which
I didn't know
still
what it is.
takes cash, by the way.
Yes.
We are
had to use the card.
We are anti-stadiums in the state of Nebraska. What is the number one thing in our vending machine at NRG Media?
Cool Ranch Doritos. If I need somebody to win a 7th game, that's what I'm sending to the mound. If you want nacho cheese, so right-hander, left-hander.
Did they have nacho cheese in there as well?
Yeah, right next to each other.
Did they have
It's
Cheetos?
Thunder
in
and
there?
Lightning. No Cheetos today.
Whoa.
But sometimes there's Cheetos. There's fruit snacks.
How
for
many
the children that
how
work
many
here.
post notes are right there on, hey, you owe me 75 cents?
Usually the soda machine owes Ed. I don't see any today.
Is it Ed usually?
It's usually Ed.
Yeah, Ed. Like Ed writes the guy a book.
Really?
Like what is Daryl going to do when he comes in to change out the pop?
Like Better Off Dead, the $2. It's like that.
I want my $2.
Which is ironically how much a soda costs in that machine now.
$2. Cash. So yeah, do they just cut out a check for like $1.50?
When he
to Ed?
retires, they will give it all back to him.
We used to have they've
Like a
actually,
gold watch.
I think they've changed the company and they've changed the machines here. We used to have a lot of problems with the vending machine, and they would come like about once a week.
Yeah,
but there would be like 6 notes of, hey, you owe me 50 cents.
Like a damn staple.
Yeah, it was like, okay, all right, people. Today is an interesting day in Lincoln. It has nothing to do with Nebraska football or me moving a kid.
If you caught the first hour.
It is Rush, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do love me some 21-12.
Is AO Pie still a sorority there?
Not like a pie place?
I dated a girl from AO Pie.
I think so. I'm not
Alpha
I don't
Omega
know. I don't know the Greek thing that well.
Yeah.
Giannis.
I dated an AZD in Omaha and an AO Pie in Lincoln.
I just know that
There's no innuendo there, I promise you.
they, like, I probably couldn't be involved in a sorority.
Well,
there are some things that would
I
prevent
like to be
that.
cash, man.
Yes.
They dress to the nines. Except
Yeah,
in that-
but-
it just coincides when
that's why
when
you
I'm
couldn't
down
be in a
there for
sorority.
moving day.
That's why you
Yeah.
couldn't be in a sorority.
Yeah, I
That's it.
watch from afar because where I'm going is across the street. There are 3 sorority houses, so they're all in the middle of their rush.
Yep.
And so I'm hollering at them, "Make a TikTok! Make a TikTok!" They don't get it, and I think that's weird. Yeah, because like Bama Rush is big on TikTok.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And then it got exposed. They did a Netflix special.
Yeah,
on it?
they had the show.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I didn't watch that. I felt like that would really suck the intelligence out of me.
It was,
You guys told me all
it's
I
quite
needed to know.
interesting how you get into a sorority.
Is it different than the SEC? Do they have to know their SEC football history?
It means more.
They listen to Feinbaum as a house.
The sororities even have the SEC logo?
Yeah.
That whole world.
Paul Whitney from Gamma Phi is on the phone.
We only get 5 stars here.
My name is Cindy with an S.
You know what?
That is, it's recruiting,
I'll
yes.
I'll tell you one thing, Sharp. We're not a development sorority. We get our girls and they are ready made. They are 5 stars.
Development go down to Lincoln.
Hey,
y'all
one
develop
star.
down there.
Hey, if you
can have 'em.
want, if you want a development sorority, you 2 stars, go to Farmhouse Female. But
At Auburn.
today in Lincoln, so it's kind of a neat little. It's kind of a private deal, but it's they're having a little ceremony, a little event because ESPN's E60 is going to be shown to guests of the Nebraska volleyball program.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And then it will come out on August 25th. So it's a big deal. Nebraska kind of knows what's in it, but it's a surprise. But it basically is a celebration of Nebraska volleyball, which is, celebrating their 50th year and making a run to get back to the national championship match. And this year go one step further in and win it. But as the build up to this and the excitement and the little tease that they put out there, because they follow the 23 volleyball team. And you know what, this time last year we were talking about, we were about 2 weeks out from this event that was bigger than any of us could ever imagine in Volleyball Day in Nebraska. But as I watch this, and again, it comes out August 25th, and the attention towards Nebraska volleyball, Has Nebraska volleyball in the college athletics landscape, regardless male, female, if you play with an oblong ball or you shoot a hockey puck, has Nebraska volleyball become one of the most recognizable brands in college athletics?
Yeah. I don't even think there's any debating it.
92,003.
That it was started by success, and it was elevated through the roof by the number that Jimmy just gave.
Yep.
It's quite interesting. It's like in football, it's Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama. Basketball, Duke, North Carolina, KU, threw UConn in there. So the most recognizable brands. But on the female side, we have recognizable athletes, but maybe not in terms of teams. But 92K has changed Nebraska volleyball as a brand. And I do what I pose to you, and you agree with, is they have become, that program, Nebraska volleyball, has become one of the most recognizable college brands in the country right now.
Yeah, UConn women's basketball.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You're always going to associate, even if they're having a down year, if you haven't been paying attention, you're just going to assume that they're good. So there's always going to be that built in. Yeah, I'm sure they're good without even pulling up their record. You brought it up,
but stick with women's sports, which are exploding.
Yep.
UConn women's basketball. Yeah. I mean, South Carolina's been a juggernaut, but I don't think that's a recognizable brand.
I agree.
Iowa women's basketball is not a recognizable brand.
No.
The person that
Caitlin
played at
Clark.
Iowa is one of the most popular athletes in the United States, next to Messi.
Yep.
There, I said it. But there aren't many female teams that fall under the category of recognizable brands.
I'd agree.
Maybe Oklahoma softball, if you want to enter that into the conversation.
Yeah, I would say UConn women's basketball, then Nebraska volleyball when it comes to recognizable brands in college athletics, and especially in female athletics. I'd put Oklahoma softball maybe a little bit more distant than those two. I think they're in a neighborhood of their own. You also brought this up, and I finally saw it, the Dick's Sporting Goods commercial where they make the appearance on the phone with the FaceTime. They're not doing that for just any program, too. So for them to go the college route and to have the Nebraska volleyball team, of all people, also says something as well. And we were here in studio the day of Nebraska, Minnesota, but that morning, first hour of our show and first hour of a lot of national shows, at least in their A block, we were all
the day after,
we were all still catching our breath and just in awe. And we knew what was happening, and we knew how many people most likely would be there. And yet it was still something that was so hard to process shortly after of what that thing looked like. But the way that it was covered, we knew locally it would be, but the way it was covered nationally, every major morning show led off with that.
National. Yeah.
Yes.
Like the
national. GMA. Today. The Today Show. And remember, we were flipping back and forth on different ones because we wanted to see, are they talking about it too? But the two biggest ones, especially, were all talking about it, had interviews on it. And then when Nebraska made the Final Four and they were talking about that in national news stories, Nebraska was getting the most run because of that too.
One of the coolest sports things I've ever seen. Ever. Anywhere.
Oh,
any level.
It will be mentioned
Very
from now until who knows.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, remember the Tony Petiti?
Yes.
Didn't start off by saying, you know what, we're the conference that has the national champion in college football.
Nope.
We got Caitlin Clark in Nebraska volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a MAPS commercial that you guys are going to enjoy.
And we do.
Question was posed to me last night about the MAPS commercial.
Saw a lot of that last night watching the Nebraska BTN thing.
How come there are no basketball arenas that are featured in the MAPS commercial?
Yeah, wouldn't UCLA want to lean into that a little bit?
BTN hates basketball.
Maybe a pyramid of success at the UCLA part of it.
I think the only basketball reference isn't there in when they do Bloomington. There's a Bobby Knight.
Yeah, Indiana's got one,
but not Assembly Hall.
Nope. We're a football conference, Gary.
I mean, we're the anti Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
Their MAPS commercial has Allen Fieldhouse and the McHale Center.
Yeah,
we have
pretty sweet.
We have everything
Probably
else.
not the Farrell Center, but
Arrowhead.
922. I want to mention this email. We started off, we were talking about the things that you have to hit. The only thing we haven't gotten in the offseason of lead up to college football is Barry Trammell's column about Nebraska and Oklahoma should be back together.
I do look forward to that every year.
Barry Trammell, by the way, so
Our friend.
he left the Daily Oklahoman and he went to the, I don't know, I can't remember what they call it, but it was a lot of really talented Oklahoma-based writers.
Jenny and all them.
And it just went, he's at the Tulsa World now. Good pickup for them. But we were talking about we have to hit certain things that are always mentioned. Like we might be able to make it through the next 17 days or 16 days and not have alternate uniform discussion. We haven't had any black shirt discussion, single digit discussion, a lot greater than black shirt discussion.
Yes.
Yep.
Is weddings and October 12th being a popular wedding day, but there's also some popular football that day.
Just elope. Watch football.
Nebraska football has broken a lot of people's hearts around here, but they gave you a gift because Nebraska's not playing on the 12th of October.
Dig in.
So people that are going to get married that day, you're in luck. Others have had fall weddings. Others have avoided fall weddings. Others have taken my advice and thinking that Monday might be a solid day to get married. It's very unique. People will be like, oh, Monday. Hey, you know what? I got nothing going on. I'll be there.
If they're open.
The Lego Maniac, who, backstory here, Zach's been a longtime listener of the show. We helped him propose to his then girlfriend in
On the show?
Kansas City. No, not now. So they were going. They got Chiefs fandom and they got Packer fandom in the household, and so they were going to a game in Kansas City. And so he asked advice, and we gave him advice. So he shared the picture. Nebraska was idle 2021. Him and his lovely wife, which they now have an 8-month-old.
Oh, congrats.
They ran, like most Nebraska weddings, have the tunnel walk.
They really?
Yeah, they ran through a sign.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Tearaway. I like that.
Their song was Hell Yeah from Blue Mountain State. And then instead of a dollar dance, Zach says we had money jars to add to our honeymoon fund.
That's also a very good idea.
One Packer jar and one Chief jar. Thank you, Zach, for sharing that. I'm glad that we had a place in that. The marriage, not the
Did people
birth
steal
of their
out
child.
of the Packer jar?
Wow.
What?
This is a special moment, and you can't put your
it's tough.
Your fandom and your rivalry aside.
I know it's tough. I'll try. I'm sorry.
All right, when we come back. So Aaron Judge last night did some Aaron Judge things. He's a football-sized guy playing baseball. Hit his 300th home run in the shortest amount of time and 955 at-bats. I posed this question. You immediately said yes. Is there, in this country, retired or currently playing, in the top 15 most popular athletes, is there a baseball player in that? And I'm going to say that Messi he is now in this country playing, so Messi is on this list.
Yeah.
He's probably number one. But is there a baseball player in the top 15? We'll discuss when we come back. Brian Edwards is in the green room. He's about to make it rain on some of the picks that he has for this upcoming season. And also a very happy Falcon fan after he got Judon yesterday. Boy, did Tom Brady do more to the Patriots franchise to bring them down than anybody else? Tom Brady destroyed the Patriots.
Yeah, not since
He broke
Danny
them in.
White beat him in 1980.
Can't even say it was Bill
Well
Belichick now.
Dad was proud of me.
Brady left. Nobody wants to go play in New England.
Cold.
Matthew Judon was so happy to get out of New England. Jesus, him and Reddick should do a podcast together. Disgruntled old football players.
Yep.
All right, 9:26. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, 1620 The Zone and Liberty First Credit Union Arena presents Ralston Day, sponsored by Liberty First Credit Union and all of our stations, August 30th through September 2nd. Liberty First Credit Union parking lot where all the fun will be. Free admission, carnival rides, music, food trucks, and much more.
Hey, I've been told they're going to have the game on.
Yes.
So if you're
It's gonna be
wanting
a big watch party.
I got the Nebraska UTEP at night. They're going to have the game on over there. That's a great event. One moment.
You guys, it is Family Rush Day 5, which means we start sisterhood today. So before I leave, here's a quick outfit of the day. So my dress is Charles and James Boutique. My shoes are Amazon. My earrings are also Amazon. And this is all the same. This is Umier, Louis Vuitton, E. Newton, Pandora, a boutique from my town, and David Yurman. I hope you have an amazing day. I'm so excited for this round. I'll see you tomorrow in real time.
Okay.
I love that she got him to roll Tide, though.
Okay.
You have to.
If I was her dad, I'd put her in the portal.
Next to Haktua Girl.
There's a Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah, so Rush is real. Rush is real. I have there are a couple of Nebraska sororities that pop up. But I think it's not just me as a creepy old guy. I think the TikTok algorithm this time of the year has a lot of these Rush videos. But they put a lot of production into it. I think that's how we should start the show every morning.
Oh, we should.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I got a hat here. It's from Nebraska Prospects.
Outfit check.
I got a polo from Omaha's NIL Bull Market. I got shorts from Kohl's. I got some Cloud 9s that I got at Dick's. And
Thanks.
You a big fan of Dick's?
Yeah, love Dick's.
Okay. No, you giggled like a little grade schooler there. Is that a word that makes you giggle?
Sometimes.
That's what she said.
Depends on context.
Okay. So Judge hit his home run last night. And he plays for the Yankees, the best player in baseball. Ohtani is right there with him. So,
yeah.
And Ohtani, hello, 37 home runs, 35 stolen bases. Once he pitches again, and if he wins a Cy Young, there is no argument in my book. He is the greatest baseball player of all time. But he's popular in another country.
Yeah.
Judge, even more popular because remember he turned down big money from the Giants to stay in New York.
Mm-hmm.
But in the current day sports fandom, popularity, active or retired, is a baseball player in the top 15. Current or retired baseball player.
See, as you say retired, that probably, well, it does for me knock Aaron Judge out then.
Okay.
Because I would say active right now he is. And again, not just because he plays.
These are active and retired because Tom Brady is one of the top 15 most popular athletes in the U.S.
Michael Jordan.
Serena Williams, I think, would put in there as well. Tiger's
Tiger's kind of retired.
Yeah. Okay, so we're starting to fill up spots here. We haven't had a baseball guy yet.
I would probably put LeBron in there as active.
Yes. Curry would be in there.
Yep, Steph Curry.
The NBA on TNT crew would be in there.
Yeah, that's actually true. I mean, yes.
Not arguing that.
Is this Shaq, Charles Barkley? I think would be.
This isn't a hot take. The NBA on TNT crew is more popular than any current baseball player in this country.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
Boom. That's like Takis. I just went Takis on y'all.
I would put your boy Patrick Mahomes in there.
Thank you. I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you did.
For sure.
What about his tight end?
Yep.
Okay. We're running out of spaces. Remember, Messi is in there as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lionel Messi.
We're forgetting probably the most popular athlete in sports today.
Are we?
Caitlin Clark.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Absolutely. Caitlin Clark is in there.
Caitlin Clark goes to Yankee Stadium, gets a picture with Judge because he gave her a number.
Yeah.
He gave her a 99.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of people that probably said, who's the guy? Who's the guy next to Caitlin Clark?
Is that Juan Soto?
Is that one of the Knicks? He's tall.
I thought Brunson was a guard.
Would we put, okay, I don't know. I'm having a tough time with this. Would we put Peyton Manning in there?
You
as retired.
could.
I feel like you could put Peyton Manning in there.
You could.
As we are doing this, I'm realizing how further down any active or retired baseball player would be. I think Judge is the closest thing right now.
I love baseball, but I'm just telling you the reality in today's. When a guy does what he did last night, and it can't go off of the baseball discussion into a bigger discussion when it should. 300 home runs in the first 955 at bats. Fastest to ever do that. 300 is a magical number.
Right.
Usually you can, punch your ticket to Cooperstown. Judge is far from being done. Hopefully he stays healthy. I enjoy watching him play. It's incredible that a man that large plays center field and plays it fairly well.
Yeah.
But he's in New York. He's a Yankee. He should be top 10. And I don't think he is.
Yeah, definitely not top 10. I would say amongst active athletes, he would, without question, in the United States of America, he would be in the top 15. There's no question. And you mentioned a lot of things he has going for him, too. Just his imposing size, but he's also a good dude. Like, there's so many things that I would love to have got into the business of being a publicist, because that would be a publicist's absolute dream. You got the market, you got the look, you got the talent. You happen to stand out amongst a crowd as well. Yeah, you could really market that dude.
By the way, before we go, this was time back to the last segment. Average high temperature in Omaha, October 12th is 67 with a low of 45. Last year was 65 and 56.
God dang it, Gary.
Just giving you ideas for your wedding planning. She'll be getting married.
Convocation day, and I'm going to do a quick little OOTD for you guys.
A what? Is that their roll call? They got their own little. Wow.
That's what happens when Saban retires.
Do you guys ever, when you go home after the show and you feel like you got to get a grandpa nap in, or you just got to get a nap in, period? Do you ever put on things on TV that you know that once you fall asleep, you won't really miss it? I feel like I could put on Alabama Rush just to put it on, maybe being
mute.
Well, not even muted, just entertained for 5 minutes as I fall asleep, but then not feeling like, oh, I got to go back and see what I missed. I feel like that would fit into the category of shows that I could turn on the TV just to have as white noise. Although I might not be able to sleep listening to that.
Well, it's Alabama.
We don't punt the football at Alabama. When it's fourth down, we go for it.
Did you say punt intended? You all go back to Iowa City.
All right. We don't have a punter. We got a place kicker. Usually we got a big-toed place kicker.
For extra points.
But you know what? When it's fourth down, hey, us Alabamans, we never give up. Like when the hurricane comes, we don't treat it. We treat it like basketball on grass.
But y'all don't convert third downs?
We convert third downs, but sometimes you got to go to fourth down because we got to keep the drama up.
Can't convert third down if it's never third down.
Well, these fans didn't come here to
Why
watch
would you
us
want to be
punt.
so good and so better than everybody else? Why not give them an inkling that those people in Athens think they got a chance against Alabama? So that's why we get it to fourth down. Like I told my running backs one time, I told Mark Ingram, I said, you know what? It's 3rd down and 8. Can you get us 8 yards? And he said, nope, coach, I'm going to slide down. I'm only going to give you 7 because on 4th and 1, we're going to go for it and we're going to get the first down. And that's more of a death sentence for the team we're playing.
So you take a man's will when you do something like that. If you want to punt, go to the Big Ten.
Well, thank the good Lord, Pete.
I do declare.
Now, it would be better if the head coach at Alabama had a deep Alabama accent, not a guy that's from like the Midwest.
Did you say Ute?
Ain't he from some place called Sioux Falls?
You're in Alabama.
I'm going to work on this. I'm going to get it before opening day. Joe Pesci coaching Nebraska.
It doesn't even matter what movie you pick.
I will work on it in the next week.
Can we bleep stuff too?
Hey.
Yeah. You're not doing that without having a couple of F-bombs in there.
It'll be like the Team America.
As long as you're doing it right. You got to do it right. Anything worth doing is worth doing right.
Just funny how.
Does the Alabama sororities, do they also have film study though, getting ready for the big weekend's game?
I imagine.
I think so. They know their opponent, I bet.
Failure to prepare is preparing to fail.
You guys, it is a religion.
You lived close.
Yeah,
to that world.
I make a trip every year to go see an SEC game. It is an absolute religion.
I want to go. I
do the Grove. That's what everyone tells me. Do the Grove.
I want to do that.
Athens is a great place
That's what
on
I've
game
heard.
day.
Heard that too. Knoxville.
I think Tuscaloosa would be pretty cool.
I've never been to Tuscaloosa.
I have.
Knoxville.
Not for football.
Knoxville
It's
is
Knoxville.
Knoxville is a really good place.
Join the Vol Navy.
Gainesville is okay. I've never been really enamored at Gainesville.
I just want to go to the swamp, the bar. A lot of bad things come out of that.
Most swamps, yes.
But the bar.
Drunk alligators, got you.
Gators.
Yeah.
But yes. Just saying.
Well,
you know, you know.
Oh, Baton Rouge at night.
There is
That would be fun.
there is a bar in Gainesville that was legendary.
Not the swamp.
No.
Was it in that urban Netflix thing last year?
I don't know.
No, see,
no,
the
it would have
swamp
been-
was in that one, and then the Aaron Hernandez thing, the swamp. There was a couple
Oh.
incidents with Aaron Hernandez. in
There's
the
a place
swamp.
called the Purple Porpoise, which is no longer there because I believe it burnt down and they just tore it down.
What a name, though.
It was a Vikings bar. I
The
bet.
Purple Porpoise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vikings.
There were a lot of conquering going on in that bar, Jimmy. Brian Edwards.
Slain.
Excuse me?
Slain. I believe
Chuck
that's-
Foreman going for
I
200
don't
yards
think-
rushing and 4
That's
touchdowns.
what the kids call it now, slaying.
I don't think the Vikings slayed people. I think they conquered.
Well,
Till they got to the
I'm-
Super Bowl.
I'm talking about something else.
Yeah.
Conquered, slay.
If you know, you know. The Purple Porpoise.
I'm intrigued.
It's good. It's a good drinking town. Gainesville is.
I can see that.
But the swamp is okay. There's nothing special about it. Now, the students are really, really good, and the Bowl Gators are good to see.
Now that's that's like right next to the stadium, right? The
What?
swamp. The swamp bar.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. It is near the stadium. I
But-
thought you meant like an actual swamp.
That's what I was
yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
Oh, there's
No,
alligators that just
I was
eat
like,
visiting
well,
fans.
not really.
They've got a stadium that's just in the middle of its own little moat that's surrounded by alligator infested.
Oh my God, this Vanderbilt
and
student
it's
got eaten.
alligators. You got to watch out for them gators. We got to put the drawbridge down so
Can I
you
have
can
his
get to the
tickets?
main strip there.
I'm sure this will not go viral down south. Brian Edwards will join us next. All right, it's time to welcome in our good friend, senior handicapper, VegasInsider.com. Other places you can find his fine work. Brian Edwards joins us now. Good morning. 2 weeks from the start. Well, I guess now 9 days from the start of the college football season with week 0 games. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. And FSU down to 11 at a lot of books. And I see DraftKings is the first to post first quarter lines. FSU -3.5 in the first quarter. SMU -6.5 in the first quarter, which is attractive, but a -155 price on it. I'd rather have it at -7 in the first quarter at a better price. And I was hoping 14 in the first half for SMU, but it looks like 16.5. But I might be on SMU there. We'll see.
Hey, why? And we're going to talk about SMU because you and I are on the same page about what kind of season they can have. There's a lot of like late, and even their fan base, like a lot of late love for Georgia Tech. Like I don't see it. You said the line has been impacted just a little bit. There are people that think that Georgia Tech's going to give Florida State a heck of a game next week in Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to cover. I bet them +14 early in the summer. And I like the over, which I see DraftKings has finally moved off the key number to 56.5. I bought it from 56.5 to 56. Now, my opinion on the over there is not that strong. Excuse me. If it was a full card, I wouldn't be on that total, but we don't have many options, and it's our first true game. So I'm on the over and Georgia Tech. I think FSU wins, but I think Georgia Tech's got to have really good offense. 8 starters back from a unit that averaged 31.1 points per game. King's a playmaker, and now he throws too many interceptions, threw 16 last year. But if he can get his interceptions down, he had over 1,000 yards. He had 737 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns, 6.1 yards per carry last year, and 27 touchdown passes. He's a playmaker. They're going to score. And if FSU gets ahead, the back door will be open. But I think it'll be a competitive game. I think FSU probably wins by, 7 to 10.
Hey, how much has your opinion changed? There have been some interesting injuries in the SEC, in particular at Texas, where they are down to 3 healthy scholarship running backs. They lose Baxter. They now lost Clark. Change how you look at Texas at all?
A little bit. I mean, so of the 3 healthy scholarship guys, I mean, I love Jaden Blue. He's going to be really good. But the other 2 guys, it's Trey Wisner, who only played, 1 year, 12 carries. And then the other guy's a true freshman, now very highly touted, but a true freshman. So, I mean, what are they going to? How are they going to be in, blitz protection? That could be, maybe some defenses throw more blitzes at them. I mean, that could be a factor. And if they have another injury at running back, man, then things start getting really dicey. And Oklahoma lost one of their playmakers, Jaden Gibson, season-ending injury. Now, he only had 14 catches last year, but 375 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. And Florida lost Jamari Lyons to a season-ending injury. That's a part of the D-line rotation. Not a starter, but, now if Florida gets another D-line injury, that could become an issue. And Florida, one of the reasons for optimism, at least from the coaching staff, has been that they felt like they were a lot deeper on the D-line. And now you lose a guy to a season-ending injury. So you get another injury, then maybe that becomes an issue. So, there have been quite a few injuries across the country for gamblers to monitor. Wyoming star running back, he's probably out till mid-September, is going to miss that game at Arizona State, which, Wyoming, and they host BYU in week 3, 2 potential Power 4 wins for Wyoming, now likely going to be without their starting running back for at least one of them.
You brought up SMU, looking at their win total of 8.5 for a team that won the AAC, a team that also returns a top 20 offense, including Preston Stone, but also having a stud for a tight end. I mean, you got essentially that offense alone looks to be just as explosive. The over the play on this one with SMU at 8.5?
Excuse me. I think so. I mean, they've got their top 7 tacklers back on a defense that, albeit with a G5 schedule, gave up only 17.8 points per game last year. Preston Stone's got all his top receivers back, 28-6 TDI&T ratio. Last year, he's got his top 3 running backs are returning. They lost 3 starting offensive linemen, but the 2 that returned were first-team all AAC, and then they've got 4 Power 4 transfers that have combined for 120 career starts coming in on the O-line. They've got D-line reinforcements, 2 transfers from Miami, one who started 22 career games for the Canes, the other one who started 20 career games for the Canes. Their kicker is first-team all AAC last year. Phil Steele's national unit rankings have every unit ranked in the top 19 with one exception, that being defensive line, where they're 25th. But more than anything, it's just the schedule. I mean, BYU at home, I think they win that. TCU at home, is potentially losable, but SMU has 2 weeks to prepare. And then FSU at home, I think that's a tricky one for FSU. I've got them losing at Louisville. I've got FSU a swing game, but look at their road game.
Mm-hmm.
Road games at Nevada, but besides at Louisville, which I've got them losing. At Stanford, when SMU has 2 weeks to prepare. At Duke, at UVA. I mean, home games to Pitt, Boston College, and Cal. I mean, they're going to be favored in 1, 2, 3. Yeah, their last 6 games, they're definitely favored. They're 4-touchdown favored at Nevada. They're favored, obviously, against FCS Houston Christian. I like over 8.5 at plus money, plus 104 at FanDuel.
Let's shift to UFC because we're going down under in Perth. I look at Bam Bam is fighting, and this might mean make it or break it because he has had his UFC career. Has had some massive ups and downs. How do you see him fighting on Saturday?
Yeah, so he had a 5-fight winning streak, and then he lost 4 in a row. But the first 3 were the guys in the top 5. I mean, Cyril Gahn, what's he ranked these days? Either 1 or 2.
Yep.
Pavlovich has lost back-to-back, but he had 6 first-round knockouts before that. He's still top 5. Volkov is number 3. So he loses those 3. I mean, those guys are better fighters than him. He was significant underdogs in all of those. Now, the last one, Tabora, that's a fight I think he probably should, I think he probably wins that 7 out of 10 times. He lost that one. But the good thing for Bam Bam is that the last 2 losses were by submission. He hasn't been getting knocked out, or, the first 2 losses were knockouts, but those were in 2022. So, and then you look at Rosenstrike, he's 36, Bam Bam's only 31. Rosenstrike's only 2 and 3 in his last 5, and both the guys he beat were unranked. So I'm going to go with Tuivasa as a plus 185 dog at BetMGM, plus 180 at most other books.
Before we let you go, too, this is music to my ears, too. We're all of a sudden looking at NFL betting lines as well. And one that I'm right there with you because I'm very, very high on them, even though they're in the division of a team that I root for, in the Detroit Lions, opening up as a 3.5-point favorite against the Rams. And then you also got the Dolphins that'll be taking on the Jags, both 3.5-point favorites. We liking them early in week 1?
Yeah, I do. I like both. And maybe a money line parlay on both. That should get you a small plus money. I love what the Dolphins did on defense in the offseason. They added 4 veteran starters and Jordan Poyer, staple of the Bills secondary. They get Shaq Barrett. They get Jordan Brooks. They get Benito Jones, and even added some linebacker depth with Anthony Walker. And obviously, I love their offense. So I like the Dolphins there. And the Lions, Dan Campbell sounded pretty optimistic about Gibbs' hamstring injury in a radio interview 2 nights ago. And they've had a couple other injuries, but, he sounded like all those guys are going to be fine for week 1. And, rematch of that really good playoff game with the Rams. But I like the Lions, real high on the Lions. Every way you can this year.
Yeah, fantastic. B, next week, it's here. Also enjoy Matthew Jujan on your football team after the trade yesterday.
Wow, maybe I got to quit criticizing my GM. What an absolute.
Oh no! Keep criticizing Ryan Pace.
Yeah,
I probably will. But
Good.
man, boy, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, "Is this real? We only had to give up a third-round pick for him? That's great."
You just wait till you have to pay him. Yep.
Right.
Hey, have a great weekend, B.
Y'all as well. Thanks, guys.
That's Brian Edwards, senior handicapper at Vegas Insider. You can follow him on Twitter at VegasB Edwards. All right, Football Friday tomorrow. Another Friday closer. Be some discussion out of Lincoln today. Some football people will be talking. And also, as you go about your day, think about the gift that you would give to Monte Harrison, because the Arkansas freshman wide receiver will turn 29 on Saturday. The former Nebraska commitment.
29?
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Damn.
That freshman. It's
Like
Paul
Thornton
Blake.
Mellon.
Just remember this. He played pro ball for 10 years.
Yep.
He was one of the main pieces in the trade from Milwaukee to Miami for Christian Yelich.
Yep. See?
Going to be 29 on Saturday.
Welcome to
playing
football
for
season.
Arkansas. For Jimmy, for Nick,